20.
Hello. Trick or treat. Well, it looks like we have three people here. So I'm going to go ahead and start. Trick or treat. this is the mask I printed. It's a full face. Almost looks like I'm CGI. And this is just like a stand-in mesh for my face. You know those here. Those behind the scenes, the making of whatever like Marvel movie. That's what it looks like when they like have to put like a face on the Hulk, but they're doing it real quick just to see how it looks. Hey, George. But yeah, that's the print. It took a few tries, but I got the right size and I like it. It works. Anyway, what we have in the offering today is a presentation. This is on Flat Earth Social. This is a presentation by Nathan Oakley to a bunch of people. Hey, Lisa, did you see the mask? I think it came out pretty good. Anyway, so this is Nathan Oakley. Be prepared. Now, I want to show something here. These aren't Nathan Oakley. Here's Nathan Oakley. Let's see if he's got a picture. He has a stupid grin on it. Didn't get a picture. Trying to find one that's not. Yeah, right there. That's Nathan Oakley, right? That's Nathan Oakley. All those other people aren't the Nathan Oakley I'm looking for. But anyway, we've all seen Nathan Oakley, right? Right? So I guess that's Nathan Oakley now. I mean, did he get head lice? Did he have to shave his head because of lice or something? I might wear it in public. I don't know, just to freak out the squares. But yeah, this is, I guess, Nathan Oakley now. I mean, bald is not a good look when you already act like a mental patient. And I hope nobody ever talks about my teeth after seeing this.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome again to Flat Earth Social number 24. Is it a bit loud? Is it a bit loud? Pay attention then. Right, couple of things. Let's have a look.
He had to have gotten head lice or something, had to shave it off.
I wrote some notes down anyway. Tonight's special guest. Oh, but before we do that, I have an announcement.
And I don't care what the reason was. That's what I'm going with. He had head lice. Prove me wrong.
There are some flyers over there for a good friend of ours at Flat Earth Social, Jackie White, who's having something going on. Hold on. On the 8th of September at the Hamworthy Club, it's a Mind, Body, Spirit Fair, £3 entry, 10 till 4. Go, leaflets are over there, it'll be a really good night. Right, that's all the good bits out of the way. Nathan Oakley. Well, I've known Nathan for too many years.
Yeah, his hair left him.
Nathan's
Hey,
one
Martin.
of the original
Hey, Martin.
Flat Earthers from in 2015. Nathan's done it all. Nathan did something that some of us didn't do. He went for the science. He went to strip back the globe
No, he didn't. He went to the science. Who the hell is this guy?
and take it back to the scientists, to strip away scientism and really
Hey, Binge.
with it all. So without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to pass you over to the one and only Mr. Nathan Oakley.
Hello, good evening. I'm hoping I've said hello to a few of you. Have I said hello to all of you? Is there a few? Raise your hand if I haven't said hello. Oh, well, I'm really sorry. I tried to get around to everybody. So, are you newbies, flat earthers? What are you?
A year now.
What are your names?
Brian and Joe.
Brian and Joe? You're relatively new but flatties?
Yes.
Okay. I'm just trying to pitch where I'm going to, actually talk about stuff tonight. So I've got a vague idea. I was told how to do a presentation. My general idea was to walk into the crowd and do my general chit-chat like I'd run my show. But I'll get to what that is, because some of you might be unfamiliar with what I actually do. I need to hold this a bit closer, don't I? Right, so I'll give you a little introduction and tell you about who I am and what I do. So my name's Nathan Oakley. Some of you might be familiar with me, and I run YouTube shows, generally speaking. But to give you an introduction of how I got into doing YouTube, I'll give you a bit of background for how I came to be on YouTube. So directly prior to doing YouTube, I was delivering stuff for Tesco. So if you're in my local area, I'd have been delivering trolleys to you, giving you your shopping, trying to be polite and get the hell out of there as quickly as possible, hoping for a tip. And some things don't change.
So just another person who has no clue about science thought he'd get into science.
So okay, so that's what I was doing, and I transitioned into doing a show called Flat Earth UK. So Flat Earth UK was an interview show. I hope you don't mind if I wander around amongst you while I'm talking. Is that okay? I've been told that I've got to have the camera on me, but
That's fine, Nathan.
I like to wander. I like to talk to people.
We've got a cameraman.
Oh, he's going to rotate and point it at me, so that's good.
Unlike the Earth.
But I might pick on some of you, depending on what we talk about. If you don't get it, you just raise your hand. That's the other thing. If there's anything I'm discussing, one of the reasons I like to introduce myself is so you do feel comfortable to actually say, "Can I ask something?" I don't quite follow.
Is this? Oh, here, let me turn it up a little bit. Sorry.
This is not a group.
I don't know why it turns the volume halfway down all the time. I don't do that.
Massive group of people. I don't know, can't turn the head count, but there's enough for us to, keep it nice and personable. So if there's something that you do want to answer or an answer for, just say. So from that, I did from delivering at Tesco, I did a show called Flat Earth UK, where I basically, after finding out Earth was flat, went around finding out from absolutely anybody I could that had information on the subject how they found out Earth was flat and what it was that they were inspired to potentially make videos and do interviews with people like me. So I followed in the footsteps of a woman.
You notice he didn't say he interviewed like people of science to help him understand, if what he found out is in fact true or not.
Called Patricia Steer, who was doing interviews on a show called Flat Earth and Other Hot Potatoes, and I basically completely ripped her off, and she said I will do her show with me in front of the camera, and that's what I did. So I interviewed and competed with her for about 2 or 3 years, interviewing various different guests and finding out why they found out the Earth was flat, and that later on in.
And then you and your friends ran her off of YouTube, bullied her so badly that she quit YouTube.
My Flat Earth career became very, very useful to talk about one of the first subjects I'm going to go through with you tonight, which is something that we, on the show I do now, which I'll get to later, called the Feast of Nonsense. So anybody here ever heard that term bandied around before?
Yeah.
One person, wonderful.
Yes.
Okay, so the Feast of Nonsense is what we would discuss as the entry to this subject. Now, if I was a bit conspiratorial, I might suggest that this Feast of Nonsense is actually controlled opposition. The evil hand that's put this information out amongst us. But it's the information that leads you into certain types of arguments when you're discussing this subject with others. So if you come across somebody who's never come across the subject and you broach it with them and say, have you ever come across the subject of flat Earth before? And they will immediately and instinctively offer you one of these subjects back as a what we call Feast of Nonsense response. So you might.
So he's not. Is he giving a presentation or is he enforcing cult indoctrination?
Might be asked about something like the ice wall. Raise your hand if you've talked to somebody about flat Earth and they've said, would you fall off the edge? Right.
And I don't know why the camera's going so slow. I'm only getting like 1 frame a second on the thing.
Well, this is what
Because I mean, it's not tied into the computer. It's all I'm picking this thing up on the network. So the camera is way upstream from the connection. So I don't know why it's going so slow.
I would call a feast of nonsense subject. It's there to set up a false dichotomy. So, anybody familiar with that term, false dichotomy? So false dichotomy is where you've got two different...
I'd like to see if I can't plug a like a 1 terabyte hard drive into the controller in the back to act as like a video RAM. Wonder if I can do that.
Counteracting suggestions for an answer to a problem when it might not be either. Yeah? So you put two things, you pit them up against each other. And in this case, it's flat Earth being pitched up against globe Earth. That's the false dichotomy that needs to be in place when you make it.
Well, it's not a false dichotomy. It's either round or it's flat, Nathan. There's no false dichotomy. It's a dichotomy.
The arguments on behalf of the globe that we're all indoctrinated with. So we all need to be put into this position where we as flat...
Yeah, we were also indoctrinated with English and math and social studies. Are all those fake?
Earthers already have a pre-packaged answer. So I can see I've got a badge with an azimuthal equidistant projection on it. That's part of the feast of nonsense, which might leave some of you flat earthers that have died in the wood with a look of horror on your face. So the azimuthal equidistant projection is basically, it's as the name suggests, azimuthal equidistant projection. It's a globe projection.
Yes, it came from a globe.
And the way that globe projection has been created is by
Listen to this. Listen to this.
taking elevation angle measurements off a flat Earth.
No, it's not, dumb fuck. I mean, holy shit.
So I'll tell you what.
So a projection of a globe was created using flat Earth measurements to create the globe, and then they projected onto a flat surface. Well, if the Earth is flat, why did they create a globe out of it? How could they? Why didn't they just create a flat map that works?
I do now. So to tell you what I'm currently doing, I currently
I mean, what a fucking asshole.
run a show called Flat Earth Debate, and what I do is I open my doors weekdays, it used to be 7 days a week, to anybody who would like to come in to
And be interrupted and muted and kicked off.
debate the subject of Flat Earth. And over the course of about 5 years, I've had every single argument that you could possibly suggest come my way.
And you've said nuh-uh to every one of them and yelled and cursed and kicked them off when they beat you.
And every single overcome that there is to put to anybody who is arguing about the subject.
He's a fucking
So when it
coward.
comes to the Feast of Nonsense, what would I want to prepare anybody who is coming into the subject for the first time with? Well, there's 2 stages that I would say that you'd need to need if you are passing this information to somebody else, but you don't necessarily want them to get into a constant debate about the subject. That is to say, you don't want them to necessarily go away and enter into what I do on a daily basis and argue with people to the ends of the earth. You just want to pass all the information. So, let's see if I can get some diagrams that hopefully help with what I'm going to tell you. No, it's not going to be mine, is it? So, we're talking about the ice wall. Well, why would you, as a flat earther, feel obliged to argue about whether or not we've got an ice wall, an edge?
Because when you make a claim, you have to back your claim up.
Well, the simple fact is because on the other side of the false dichotomy for the globe, they have an edge. Their edge is called...
No, we don't have an edge. There's no edge on a globe. Sorry.
Earth curve.
No, an edge isn't curved. Well, an edge could be curved, but no, there's no edge on a sphere.
And it's the thing that boats fall over. So in almost all of the Feast of Nonsense arguments, you'll find that there's a contrasting position from the globe that needs to be argued in false dichotomy with a flat earther. So if they've got boats quite literally in their mind, physically falling over the edge of an Earth curve horizon.
No, they're just on the other side of the tangent point of the Earth. That's what they are. They're not falling over an edge, you fucking liar. Hey, Real Cygnus. I mean, he just fucking. I mean, if there's one person, if the Purge was real, that'd be my first target right there.
Then it's best in
I mean, he's such a fucking piece of shit.
defence to automatically ask a flat earther to justify their edge. So having an edge is what you will be put up against. Well, the idea of the globe having an edge has come from measurements of the Earth itself. That is to say that the Earth that we dwell atop exists in a way that we can measure to come to models like the globe to give us an edge
Right, through spherical excess. Yes.
to fall over, to then suggest to a flat earther that you should be defending the edge of the azimuthal equidistant projection to fall over. Too complicated? I'm hoping I'm pitching this about the right level based on everybody. If I see some blank stares, I'll hopefully take it down a peg. Okay, so which one am I using? I'm getting confused with too many iPads. Okay, it's this one. So what I'm going to describe to you with this diagram, it's not the best diagram, but it does a good enough job of explaining my point in this regard.
He's put on some weight, hadn't he?
So what we're going to do to create the globe in the first instance is we're going to start taking angle measurements. So if you imagine this dot here is going to be the North Pole, and you're going to be standing
Right.
at the bottom with the North Pole directly above your position, that would be called your zenith. Now, as you back away from this position, that star that you're measuring, that would be Polaris, will drop towards the horizon. So that is to say, as the star is above me, as I walk away from it, it will drop 1 degree for every 60 nautical miles, or for every 69 statute miles.
Not on a flat Earth, liar. Not on a flat Earth. That's a trigonometric function on a flat Earth, but on a sphere, it's a linear function, which is what we see in reality.
That's called latitude. Everyone familiar with latitude? Yep. Okay, so what we're doing is we're measuring angles with respect to a plane of reference. That is what we are doing to give us these measurements called latitude. Now, as you back away to the absolute minimum, the star, when it reaches the horizon, gives you the outside edge of the globe, which is the equator.
But that's not where the equator is. What the fuck is this, man? What in the fuck is this? This is a half of the globe. This is the globe cut in half. You're using it as a. So what about out here? What about the people out here? What about those guys? Because that's the equator. So why shouldn't this person see it? If it's way up here, why shouldn't this person see it? There's nothing stopping him, right? But what do these guys see? They see over here. They see a southern rotational point over here somewhere, or over here somewhere, right? Because they're down here. And all these people would be up here.
Yeah. So the minimum value of Polaris gives you a circle that is the same radial value as a sphere Earth. Makes sense?
So if Polaris is at my eye line, that means it must physically be at my eye line. Because parallel lines don't cross. If something is at my eye line, it has to be that high off the ground. Because that would be parallel to the flat Earth. So how could Polaris be at 6 feet off the ground?
So far? Here's my next diagram. So this is your view. This is the representation of those stars. 90 degrees directly above your head. Your
What the fuck is this?
zenith. And every degree towards the horizon. Yeah, that's latitude measurement. That is what they have used to create the globe.
Right, because the globe is the only way you could have that. You can't have that on a flat Earth.
I've skipped a massive section. So, just to keep it as basic as I possibly can. We've got two planes of reference. One inside the globe, running through the centre, and one that runs to the edges of our vision for a north and a south system. And that will create something called the celestial sphere. So the globe has been created.
He doesn't know what he has no idea what the celestial sphere is. No idea at all.
By taking the points of measurement with Polaris for a north-centric system, and then taking the same for Sigma Octantis in the south to create something that can go like antipodal. So what you end up with is two flat planes, one on top of the other.
What?
Based on one point in the sky and another point in the sky. That
What the fuck? You have two planes, one on top of the other. What the fuck is he talking about?
creates something called the celestial sphere, and the projections through the celestial sphere from the centre to the angles that the stars create can be projected onto what I call a protractor, the point that you would be looking through to measure the stars, and you can call that the globe. Now I have left out a significant section of math.
Oh my god, what an idiot. What a fucking idiot.
So I'm no mathematician, and complex Haversine conversions are definitely not my forte. But
Right, that you only use a Haversine formula on a sphere. It's not on a flat earth, dipshit. So, god, what a loser.
the conversion process basically takes what
But I bet he has his best white t-shirt on for that fancy to do.
we measure with respect to all stars and converts it into a globe to then give you mathematics, which one should I use? That one. To give you mathematics of an Earth curve edge. So in their circle,
He actually thinks that we measure the Earth curve by measuring the distance to the horizon. That's how the curvature of the Earth was measured, is by doing that. What a fucking moron.
that they've projected up
Jesus.
from the flat plane that these projections have been made with, you can create an Earth curve edge to have boats and buildings behind. Make sense? So that's
But how does that happen on a flat Earth, Nathan? How does the flat Earth obstruct our view? It's not within our cone of vision.
why you'll have your position of having a flat Earth edge foist upon you from the moment you come into this subject. You'll be told that that is your model and that you
So I need to speed this fucking shit up.
need to defend it, regardless of whether or not you're a cartographer, whether or not you're having
God.
experience, whether
I saw that full screen, man. Holy crap. I mean, he looks like a fucking mental patient. He really does.
or not you've even left the country. Doesn't matter if you've got a boat or a boat, the Saxon, you need to know this model and it is yours. You own it, it's on your ship. Okay, so that's the piece of nonsense. So I split this up into two categories in terms of being measured flat. Better diagram for this. I was hoping this would just spin
Might slow it down just a little bit.
by randomly. Okay, so the same principle that I've just described with Polaris can apply to any celestial item that you have in the sky. Hello, gentlemen. You here for the talk? What are your names? You should come late. You're going to get put on the spot. What's your name? Sean. John. Ready to meet you, newbies, you flat earthers? Thinking about it, do you think you get put on the spot immediately as soon as you're out?
Welcome.
Very pleased to have you. We'll take your fiver and get you a seat. You won't be any more impressed. Okay, right. Okay, so if you were to pass this information on, that is to say, you just wanted to give the Cliff Notes, the elevator pitch to somebody you met in random and you wanted to tell them how the Earth was measured, this is what you would tell them. you would describe this, the basis for all of the maps and models, which is called an elevation angle measurement. An elevation angle measurement, by definition, is the angle measured between the line in the sky, so an imaginary line between the observer and the sun in this case, and the horizontal plane the observer is standing on.
No, it's not a measurement from your feet. It's a measurement from
This is-
it's a measurement from your eye, Nathan. That's how a sextant works. You fucking retard.
This is what is used in navigation, and this is what is used in mapping. In fact, this is what has been used to expand the known territories. Good drink.
And every person that actually knows how to use a sextant has corrected him on this, but he doesn't give a shit. Because if he admitted that that's how you use a sextant, then his grift would be over.
Oops.
People would realize that he's completely full of shit and he doesn't know what he's talking about. I mean, even his dumbest follower would realize that he didn't know what the fuck he's talking about.
So this is what we've used to expand the world that we know. So when it comes to, do you have a question?
No, I was
Just shifting uncomfortably. Don't want to do that around me.
It's just, I mean, like, examples of the web, on a globe, Mars wouldn't work, would it? Because you'd have to be able to see it from underneath.
Well,
So that's
yes,
what we
yes,
should
no, she's saying that it wouldn't work on a globe because you wouldn't see it beyond the horizon. But there's you're right, it wouldn't work, but it's more the way we actually functionally use Polaris. Do you want to change the screen? I think so it stays on.
I have no idea how to do that.
I
Okay.
just get it, the way we use the Polaris, it's got to be that, because
It's an angle measurement.
yeah, it doesn't work.
Precisely.
And that's what I was Googling.
Exactly. So for anybody here that's broaching the subject with another person, and you don't necessarily want to get into an advanced description that I've just given you of the conversion process, you just tell them how the stars are measured. The way we produce the maps, the reason the maps are flat is because they have to work with these measurements of the stars. So when you roll out a map, the reason you're rolling out a map is because of the way the projections form. So I'm not going to be looking at you.
But Nathan, if you take a map and you like a southern map, like a grid map, like a government grid map, something that the army would use, if you hold it up north to south, the lines of longitude taper toward the south. How does that work on a flat Earth? They should taper the other way.
Well, I'll bring these diagrams. But your starting point is making an elevation angle measurement. So the altitude angle is the angle between an imaginary line between the object and the observer's point of view in the sky and the horizontal plane the observer is standing on.
Right, and on a flat Earth, you would need to know the altitude of whatever you're looking at, because there's no way you can get your circle of equal altitude unless you know the altitude of the thing. You can't get the base measurement with just one angle and 90 degrees. That's fucking impossible.
That is your elevation angle for all of the following process. So from there, this is your point of view.
I mean, they don't realize that. They aren't smart enough to, he isn't smart enough to understand that how trigonometry works. He doesn't know. He's just too fucking dumb. And if you corner him on this, if you hold him to this and say, how do you get your circle of equal altitude? Well, you just take 3959 and minus degrees from it, and that's how you get. No, that's not how it works, man. That's not how it works. They go, well, you get your reverse angle degrees and subtract and multiply that times 60, and that's how far you are. No, that's not how it works.
What you see, this is your plane of reference with your angle to the line in the sky and the horizontal plane that
Jesus
the observer
fucking
is
Christ,
standing on,
man.
by virtue of your view. Imagine this to be a protractor.
So you take the radius of the Earth and you subtract degrees from it.
With all the angles measured, it's going to become the globe, but that protractor is going to form the globe. So from there, i.e. elevation angle measurements, you can form the view I gave you first, which is projected inside the protractor, all of the points in the sky, to create that sphere, and from there, a better view, you can describe things like elliptical planes and orbital planes. The angles that something in the sky represents its altitude, it's the same thing. The angle between you and the item in the sky. Yeah?
No, the angle between you and the thing in the sky is not a plane, moron. It's an angle.
From there, you can project that onto a globe with all the points that I described wrapped around you as the globe itself. But now you're just describing the points that you've measured as a globe is a protractor wrapped around you. From there, you can then take that protractor view, which is the globe inside this.
See, and none of them can explain why the lines of longitude are measured off in degrees of a circle when they're straight.
And wrap a cylinder around it and project all of the points out onto that cylinder. You then cut that cylinder down the middle, roll it out flat. That is the Mercator projection. Anybody here heard of Mercator projection?
Right. Again, it's a projection of the globe. See, all the distances and angles and everything is correct on the globe, but when you distort it like that, shit goes out of whack.
The flat square map is distorted. That is how you get the Mercator projection. So from flat Earth elevation angle measurements to circles of equal elevation, that's the point above the star, measured in a circle, to concentric circles going in towards Polaris, to a ball with those circles wrapped around them, to a cylinder with that wrapped around the ball, to a flat map that you can actually use again with the angles that you originally started with. So you
No, you don't, man. You don't make the sphere by projecting the Mercator onto it. God, what a fucking liar. Oh my God, listen to that again.
Out onto that cylinder. You then cut that cylinder down the middle, roll it out flat. That is the Mercator projection. Anybody here heard of Mercator projection?
Yeah.
The flat square map is distorted. That is how you get the Mercator projection. So from flat Earth elevation angle measurements to circles of equal elevation.
So you create a flat map to distort it to a sphere that works, that shows it's not distorted, and then you distort it again to get. What the fuck are you talking about?
That's the point of the
Jesus
star,
Christ.
measured in a circle, to concentric circles going in towards Polaris, to a ball with those circles wrapped around them, to a cylinder with that wrapped around the ball, to a flat map that you can actually use again with the angles that you originally started with. So you're going through this distorted process of creating maps with circles that are flat, to wrap those circles around a ball, to eventually end up with a map that's flat that you can still use with the angles that you measure in the first place.
No, you can't use it. It's not the same, dipshit. It doesn't fucking work. The Mercator projection is a projection of the globe, and the globe is created by measuring a globe. What the fuck?
That makes sense? You guys have that hear us okay? Yeah? Brilliant. Okay.
What a fucking liar.
Good job, I did make notes. Good job, he says. Okay.
Knife go.
So, before we move on to a subject shortly, I'll give you a basic rundown of how this particular methodology is going to basically save people's lives to see when they're using this methodology. So if you're unaware, people on aeroplanes, people on boats will keep a sextant on board so that they can find their position if they get lost. And the way they do it is the exact same as I've described, that creates the latitude system that gets wrapped around a ball. And the reason that the maps have to be rolled out flat is so that they can work with this process. So mistakenly sometimes identified as triangulation, it isn't. It's called celestial navigation. And all celestial navigation is a measurement of your position to...
No, what you're showing is triangulation. And celestial navigation does not work on a flat Earth.
a navigation star to create what I just described, a circle on a flat plane of equal elevation. The idea being that with 2, if you've got land, or 3 if you're in the middle of the ocean, you can measure your position by taking the time when the star is in a particular position, noting it with the angle, and then doing it for 2 other stars so you can find your location on the ground. But the way you do it is by creating circles of equal elevation. 3 of them in this instance, to find your fix, which is your position. So the only way this can work and does work is with angles that can only be measured with...
This is a hook, a wall hanger. It's got 2 screw holes to hang my RC radio by the handle. the handle fits in there. Well, where is it? Yeah, this is my radio. And these are my stick protectors. Nothing can hurt the sticks when they're on there. So the way to take them out is you just move the sticks over and they're free to use. And the way you put them on is you put them in there, you slide it in place. You can't stay until you press down on these two buttons, and that allows the stick to go in place, and then it locks it in place. And it won't come off, and it protects it. So, but this is the hanger. Just like that. So, anyway,
Respect to a flat.
back to the show.
That is how Earth is measured. So, with that in mind, should I do housekeeping next?
No, that's not how the Earth is measured. We don't measure the Earth with a sextant. That's how the Earth is navigated.
Let's have a look. Rock and a hard place. Okay, so on my debates, this is where I get to walk a little bit more easily, walk around. So on my debates, what I get to do is just debate and discuss with people how the Earth is measured flat. I'm going to lose my signal. I'm not going to get to walk around.
You can.
Oh, it's okay.
You can.
I'll keep in this square. I'll come close to you. How are you doing, my dear? You good? Come up to you then. I'll tell you about this. So the bonus of knowing this information is that this puts the globe believer in a very, very difficult position. Because if you've been following along, part of the globe has latitude lines wrapped around it, and they are measured flat. It is a fundamental basis, it's a building block, it's a foundation of the globe that they must have their latitude lines wrapped around it. So when the debate then ensues, I have a saying this being caught between a rock and a hard place, which is to say that the opponent.
And I've this is one that messed up. I had a layer line shift because it came off the plate. One of the legs did, and it warped a little bit, so I had a layer shift. But I've tried to break one of these hooks off, and I fucking can't. I mean, I'm putting everything I've got into this, and I can't snap that off.
In this scenario,
That's how strong ABS is.
upon having this either understood by them in the first instance, or having it put to them by me, or you take on board this information and use it next time you do want to ram with somebody that you love, as you do. You can take this information and put it to the opponent about how they're.
I'm still working on it. I haven't put much effort into it. I'll work on it.
Measurements for their globe come to pass. How their globe that they believe in so vehemently when they tell you, no, you'd fall over an edge, you crazy flat earther. Obviously, we all know from childhood that the Earth is a globe. Well, you ask the person, how were the measurements of latitude that are wrapped around that globe actually measured in the first place?
Those lines of latitude were divided off because we measured the circumference of the Earth and just divided it into 360 degrees.
And when they tell you, well, it's just a simple elevation angle. It's an angle to the star Polaris, representing your latitude line. Well, that latitude line is measured flat. That is how it came to pass. So at that point, you've only got two options if you're a staunch globe believer.
And no, it wasn't measured flat, moron.
Option number one, relinquish the measurements that you have put in place to believe in a globe in the first instance. That is to say, you say, no, I deny it. Latitude measurement, Polaris, wrapping those lines around a globe. No, we don't measure it that way. We don't measure it at all. The round that we're measuring is imaginary. I've heard all of these excuses when it comes to putting the angle that is elevation angle to a fundamentalist religious element. So they can deny their base principle. The measurements that give them the globe to believe in are measured flat. And if they deny them, they're denying their own globe, because that is how their measurements for their globe come to fruition.
Listen to this fucking clown. Listen to this clown. Yeah, replacement dishwasher knob. Yeah, I mean, the shit is versatile. I mean, listen to this guy. Oh, it's measured flat, so you're just enforcing the flat Earth when you believe in a globe. What the fuck are you talking about? You fucking two-faced, fucking talking out of both sides of your mouth fucking liar.
The alternative, happy days for me, accept those measurements. And yes, I understand that we have to take elevation angle measurements to the star Polaris in order to create the globe, at which case what have they conceded? That we've measured Earth flat. And that is the end of their argument. Now obviously, depending on the cognitive distance level of the person who put this to, there's a good chance that they will go around in circles for 4.5 hours denying that they want to keep their measurements, so they can't.
I mean, if he knew anything, he'd know that that is not possible on a flat Earth. That's not a linear function.
Because they
And that's been pointed out to him, and he hated it.
instantly become a flat earther. Okay, now this is probably a bit more fun. I'm going to go through some of the questions.
Of course, I reminded him in the comment section. Where is it? Somewhere. Wow, that's a message to Mark Sargent. There he is. So, yeah, I've let him know.
Up until about 8 or 9 months ago, I would ask every single day on my live stream that I did on YouTube, which is called Flat Earth Debate. And the questions, we had a title for which were called housekeeping.
All right, I've answered all those questions. They were easy. Like a child asked them.
And basically the housekeeping questions are developed as a result of endless debates about certain subjects that have come to fruition. So rather than letting the argument die because it's been concluded and then just resurface 6 months later when everyone forgets that you've already overcome the...
This is the Antikythera that I have file for. It has these geared wheels which change different aspects of it. So you've got your control wheels, I think yellow, orange, blue, and black. Not sure exactly how it works, but it shows the phase of the moon. It shows where the sun is in relation to the zodiac. And it's got, I don't know what this pointer's for, but yeah. So it's a simplified version of the Antikythera. It doesn't show Mars or the other planets. But that's what I'm working on printing now. It's going to cost a bit of money because I have to buy more filament, and ASA filament's not cheap.
Argument. We decided that we would continually put these arguments into the forefront of the discussion every single time we open the show with these things called housekeeping questions. So I'm just going to go through some of those housekeeping questions with you. And what I will do, this is a bit of audience participation, so this would be where I'd be in the audience now, but fortunately from a mic transmission point of view, you're all lucky, so you can thank the mic for that. But I will ask you, raise your hand if you've got an answer, even if you want to answer as devil's advocate, that is to say, offer what you feel the opponent might offer if it's necessarily your view. So I'm going to ask you a series of questions that we ask daily, and then depending on the reaction get to each question, we might go through some of them in a bit more detail, so hopefully you'll enjoy that. Okay, first and foremost, is there any evidence of a physical geometric sphere edge? That's a
Yes, there is. There is. Boats are obstructed by it.
horizon, formerly known as Earth curve.
Right. You can see it in boats. Boats going over the horizon. That's the physical proof of it.
No.
No?
There's visual.
I need to diagram. The Earth curve, much like the
Yes, the horizon physically obstructs boats.
plane of reference. Oh, we've got a question out the back. Go on, shout loud. Do I have any evidence for the edge of the Earth? Yeah, I'm going to go through it in a minute. Yes, definitely.
I mean, that thing, the one I showed, is about that big around. It's about that tall. So it's not small. Hey, Stanley.
So the edge of the Earth is, as shown a second ago, Earth curve.
8,000 miles.
This is what they're putting up in false dichotomy. As I put it a little bit earlier, you're hopefully familiar with this diagram. Now you might have spotted some myth about this diagram, as I pointed out earlier. The horizon, which is claimed to be the physical geometric sphere edge limitation to your view, called Earth curve. However, you might, if you've got a keen eye, notice two things about this diagram that are absolutely fundamental and intrinsic to mathematics.
You need to fire your camera, man.
Anybody spot them? Oh, we've got a hand up from here.
Is it surface level?
Surface level. Surface level and eye level are parallel right here. Absolutely correct. So
Right. If surface level and eye level are parallel, then how can Polaris be at 6 feet off the ground? How can Polaris possibly be at your eye level when you're at the horizon?
What are we describing if we're describing Earth curve? Well, we're describing a deviation from the horizontal. That's what curve is. In order to describe Earth curve, you must have a surface level to derive Earth curve from. And the way you do it is by calculating your height, your elevation, at 1.2 times the square root of the observer's height in feet, versus the eye level. And they must be parallel for this maths to function.
The fuck are you talking about, man?
So in order for Earth curve mathematics to
Holy
function,
shit.
you need a flat Earth to measure. To get your height above sea level, and to calculate the parallel eye level with the surface level. That's how Earth curve maths works. Not to mention the fact that the value that gives you the horizon itself, that's mapped here, radius, derived from the minimum elevation angle to Polaris. That's the outside edge of the sphere, that's what gives you the radius. So all of the Earth curve mathematics that you are suggested to
It's the outside edge of the sphere. Jesus fucking Christ, man.
argue about in fourth cycle to me are derived from a flat plane in the first instance. Not only the radius for the maths, but the maths after the fact requires a surface
Jesus.
level.
He just doesn't care about lying in front of real people. I mean, he has no fucking shame.
High above it, elevation. Elevation is respect to a flat plane.
No
Your
shame
height
at
above the
all.
surface level. That's what height is. So that's your Earth curve edge. So in answer to the question, any evidence of a physical geometric sphere edge horizon formerly known as Earth curve? Well, yeah, it's claimed to be the horizon in Earth curve maths. There is one further problem. Just out of interest, has anybody
The further problem is you. You think it's something other than that, and it's not.
seen this mathematics before? Anybody?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, at least put on a colored shirt, you know? Fucking like a black t-shirt. But Jesus Christ, a fucking plain white t-shirt when you're going to talk to people, give a presentation to people, a group of people.
Not a single person raising their hand, only you?
God
This is
damn,
one
what a
person.
clod.
I didn't expect you
What a clod. What a lout.
to do this. Once I was into the debate, after interviewing hundreds literally of people about this subject, when I actually got into the debate, started dealing with people who were
I mean, a lout. That describes him perfectly.
advanced heliocentrists, let's just call them. That's when I got to this. It was about 6 or 7 years ago now. And I've never seen it before either. What's this? Earth curve mathematics. I've never seen it. Suddenly I'm being asked to justify why a boat's gone over there an edge that they call the Earth curve edge horizon. Why is this boat going over?
No, nobody asks you to justify it. They ask you to explain it. How could that possibly work on a flat Earth? Because a flat surface can't obstruct anything above it. Sorry.
Why can I only see 3 feet of it? Why are you asking me? I haven't made a claim about it. But you're into the immediate, well, how does your model say this boat will disappear? Because they are immediately flipping the burden onto you to suggest that you should explain their positive claim.
No, that's not what we're asking you to explain your positive claim that the Earth is flat, when we have this evidence that it isn't.
They say boats fall.
And you reverse the burden of proof, saying you don't have to prove anything because the default position is we don't see curvature and we don't feel motion.
Over an edge. They don't phrase it like that. But they do. That's exactly what they're saying. They're saying boats go over an edge. There is another clever bit of trickery to the mathematics, which you wouldn't spot unless it was pointed out to you. The way this mathematics works to suggest that there's a hidden value, something obscured by a physical obstruction of a hill between you at your observation point and the target in the distance. The problem is that there's no perspective. One more time?
The hijacked Earth curve.
Hijacked Earth curve, exactly.
Called this perspective.
Precisely. So they've hijacked perspective and called it Earth curve. And the way they've done it is they've taken your position and shown the side of your own head. So this is not how you see things. You don't get to see.
Right, but orthographic view represents what we see in perspective view perfectly.
This when you're looking at something. Yeah? I'm looking at it. You're looking at me as the observer in the diagram. But you don't see the world like that. You don't get to see the side of your own head when you're making an observation. But what that does is remove.
I don't know, your eyes are so fucking cockeyed. I mean, have you seen his eyes? It's like he's looking at two different directions when he's talking to you. I'd say you could probably see the side of your own head when you're looking. I'd say that's possible for you.
Perspective. So you can say that this item here is a 100-foot building. But it would be 100 foot if it was here, 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 here,
Right, exactly.
over here. Still 100 foot, right? Doesn't change in size as it gets further away from you. What actually happens when things get further away from you? They get smaller.
The angle's smaller, so I
Yeah,
guess.
things get smaller.
No, they don't actually. Did he say actually? Did he say actually?
Here, 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 over here. Still 100 foot, right? Doesn't change in size as it gets further away from you. What actually happens when things get further away from you? They get smaller.
The angle's smaller.
No, they don't. They don't get actually smaller. They look like they get smaller because of perspective. Jesus fucking Christ. These people, he and these people think that things actually get smaller as they move away from you.
So I
Yeah,
guess.
things get smaller. Have to excuse my French, but hashtag shit shrinks. Things get smaller. Yeah? If you look out there, the tree in the far distance is smaller than the tree in the near foreground. Shocking. But if that continues, the angular view gets smaller and smaller and smaller towards the horizon. Because that's what the horizon actually is. The horizon is an optical dissolution point. It's a point that
The horizon is an optical resolution point. You mean, so a boat that we can see half of, that's cut off halfway? That's not an optical resolution point, man. We could see mountains past the horizon. The horizon is not the limit of our vision. Jesus, fuck, this guy is stupid.
where you lose
Oh my
perspective,
God.
you have a vanishing point in art terms. That's what the horizon really is. But they've taken that effect, the space in perspective, it is perspective. The horizon is a representation of where you lose perspective, you lose angular resolution, the angle between you and what you're looking at becomes too narrow. And they're called the Earth curve. So in reality, as I look out and I describe that person on the other side of that river, I can give them an angular size versus the person in the near foreground, which has a wider angular size. And something in the very far distance is going to have a very, very narrow angular size. But if I remove all those actual visual representations of how the world works, I can pretend that that effect is called Earth curve and claim that boats fall over it. So that's, go on.
So, if you, sorry if I asked you a silly question.
No, no, go ahead.
So when they argue in horizon, so the horizon for one person is different for another person, depending on which eyesight it is, lots of things. So,
Absolutely correct.
it's mathematical.
Exactly. So what you're saying is that the horizon's different depending on how good your eyesight is. Absolutely correct. So it's based on the quality of the lens of your eye. And it's different.
Telescope, it's even further.
Precisely. So if you increase the resolution of your camera, you can increase the distance that you can see. It seems obvious when you just say it. But when I first got to this subject, there was people bringing boats back that had already disappeared in the camera view. That if you looked at the distance, you couldn't see the boat. Well, then you do the maths for a 6-foot man and say, well, it's gone over the Earth curve edge. But then you bring it back.
Yes, Jesus fucking Christ. And he doesn't understand optical resolution. He doesn't understand angular resolution. He just doesn't fucking understand anything.
You know, well, why is that the case?
My
Well, because
God.
it's something to do with Earth curve. The reason
My
a 6-foot
God,
boat is
he's
disappeared
dumb.
beyond Earth curve is because a 6-foot boat is 6 foot at all distances. It's because a 6-foot boat gets smaller and smaller and smaller until it vanishes. It is that simple. So that's Earth curve. That's one of our housekeeping questions that we ask on a daily basis. Got a question over there? Go ahead.
Yes, but why does it not, after it goes over the Earth curve, why can't you zoom it back in? Right? You were able to zoom it in when you couldn't see it. Why can't you zoom it in more and see all of it? They can't explain that, can they?
What would you say to someone who...
Hold on. No.
It will, Nathan, it will.
It will.
It will, keep going.
Keep going. I'm being assured that this will work. Go ahead.
What would you say to someone who shows you video footage of half obscured buildings, boats, things like that in the ocean? What would you say to them?
Okay, so I'm being asked, what would I say? Somebody presents the argument with the half of
That's going to take 17 hours. If I printed it a higher resolution, there we go. That's printed at 0.2. If I printed at 0.12, which I'd rather do because of the mechanical nature of it. It's going to take.
boat, basically, and asked me to explain it. Well, it's a good question. If I was in debate, the first thing I'd say was, I haven't made a claim about it. Why would I explain why there's a boat half obscured? It's not part of my argument. But it,
Yes, it is part of your argument. Most fucking certainly is. You argue that it shouldn't. So you have to explain why it does. 13 hours and 52 minutes for the highest resolution.
is
I might go ahead and do it tomorrow.
in my capabilities to explain their mathematics for Earth curve obstruction, which is to say that, in complex terms, when you get close to the deck of anything, you limit your angle. So as I get lower to this table, the angle of the table gets smaller and smaller and smaller, and that means you're resolving less and less and less and less. Well, the narrowest angle.
No, it doesn't. No, it doesn't. It fucking doesn't. The angle, your distance from the fucking ground doesn't change the angular size of things in the distance. It doesn't. It has absolutely nothing to do with how much you can see ahead of you. Fuck.
Angle is nearest to the deck. That means that the first things that will be obscured are the things that are at the deck, because that's got a limited angle. That's why boats disappear bottom first. Absolutely nothing to do with Earth curve. And
No, you're fucking ignorant. This has been explained to you, Nathan. Quit lying to these people. No, Nathan's from England.
everything to do with angular resolution.
From the UK, from Britain.
That's it.
What do you fucking call them now? UKs? UKish?
Can I ask a question about radius?
That's brilliant, because it buys me time to have a drink.
Radius. When we talk about radius, where do we derive the radius from the globe? Is it still the Al-Biruni, or is it something else now?
Okay, so there's several different stories.
No, it's spherical excess. That's how we measured the curvature, and we've already measured the distance between things. So
For deriving radius. There's the Welland-Cyan and there's Al-Biruni.
he's a fucking idiot.
Although your question actually is about the Welland-Cyan, I'm not going to answer
What a fucking ass clown.
that question, just because
Okay.
the general lines I've gone along is about measuring angles
Oh, don't be sad.
and such like. So I'll go to Al-Biruni
Oh, Lisa got sad face.
instead.
Okay, sorry, I don't want
Oh, no, it's a good question. Did I answer your question, by the way, about limited angles?
Yeah, I will say, I think it's also light spectrum as well.
You're saying again?
I was going to say, I think it's also something to do with light as well, how it behaves. I don't think it's curvature.
No, it's definitely not curvature. No, correct. It's just
Oh,
angular
is that-
limitations.
Oh, it's how light behaves. Okay.
So here we are with
Sure.
Al-Biruni.
Sure.
And to derive
Of course, keep in mind, Nathan Oakley, Quantum Eraser, 10th Man, Brian's Logic, all those clowns over in his little cult show, actually think that the Earth gets bigger when there's more refraction. The physical size of the Earth changes physically to be a bigger radius when the weather changes. He thinks that's possible.
the radial values I've been asked by it, you can derive it by
I mean, they've said that. That's not me over exaggerating. That's not hyperbole. That's not biased rhetoric. They've said that.
calculating the difference between, shockingly again, surface level and eye level. So for Al-Biruni, what he does is he does use trig. He'll go up a mountain. This point at H is claimed to be a mountain, so he's gone up it. But he gets the height by measuring the angular relationship at two different points to the mountain. So he's doing the same thing as I described with Polaris. He's measuring elevation angles.
No, he's doing it in a little different way, Nathan. And yeah.
Off a flat Earth to calculate the height. So first he measures a flat Earth, then he derives the difference between surface level and eye level to give him a point below surface level to do trig to get the radial value.
No, you don't get a point below eye level. You take the measurement from your eye, you subtract the dip angle from the total angle, which brings the dip angle up to horizontal. At your eye line, at the point of observation, stupid. Fucking dipshit.
That's how Al-Biruni is claimed to do it. I don't think Al-Biruni even existed, but that's part of the narrative. So that's the claim story for deriving R. But the same thing applies in Earth curve maths. In order to derive a radial value to get you believing
Jesus Christ.
You're on a sphere. You need to.
Yeah, even you get a spanner, you dumb motherfucker. I can't do it there. Even you get a spanner. Even though we're talking to your Lord and we're reviewing your Lord and Savior who blocks everybody.
Surface level and eye level to be parallel. And you need to be able to measure the height of the mountain off the flat plane. Like all heights. Might as well drop that in here. Anytime you hear height, or the word up, anything to do with elevation whatsoever, is an absolute prerequisite that it needs a flat earth to describe it. You cannot have up on a globe. You cannot have height on a globe.
Say what? You can't have up on a globe. What's the reason he gave for this? What information is in his fucked up, broken ass brain?
The height of the mountain off the flat plane. Like all heights. Might as well drop that in here. Anytime you hear height, or the word up, anything to do with elevation whatsoever, is an absolute prerequisite that it needs a flat earth to describe it. You cannot have up.
I need a flat earth to describe it. Really? Really? So I could stand on top of a mountain, which is definitely not fucking flat. Do I still have an up? Up and down are derived from gravity. And front and back are just directions relative to you. What a dumb fuck this guy is. Hey, Shanji.
On a globe, you cannot have height on a globe. All heights are referenced to surface level or sea level. So height, in this case eye level, requires a flat earth completely. Okay, so that's earth curve.
Oh my god, what an idiot. What a complete fucking moron.
Next on the housekeeping list we have, what should I do next? We've just done R, so let's do gravity. We asked for any scientific evidence of gravity. Oh god.
Yes, the Cavendish experiment.
Question already, go ahead.
Gravimeters. A scientific scale, scientific balance scale, and a large mass of lead. Yes, there are a few.
No, still on the previous one. What about the argument that they're just that big and that small? That's the line that it's so imperceivable to us.
Okay, so the argument that's been put to me is, what about if Earth just is so big we measure it flat? And to be fair, that is an argument that comes up reasonably regularly, which is to say that, yes, we take our elevation angle measurements to Earth from a flat plane.
No, you don't. You don't. You just fucking don't.
But it's only because it's so big. Well, then...
I mean, if the Earth is flat, why do all the manuals on how to use a sextant show a spherical Earth? Why?
Show me the measurements of it being curved, because in that statement you're saying, yes, I measure Earth flat, but...
Why do all the sextant manuals instruct people to use a sextant in the exact opposite way that you think it's to be done?
And you can make any excuses. In other words, the same would apply if I say, yes, we measure it flat, but it's actually unicorn shaped. It's just a really, really big unicorn. So I will prove it. You know, if you're going to suggest that it's anything other than the measurement you've taken, it's on your onus to prove that. In other words, the burden is on you.
Right, we've proven it.
Not that I'm suggesting that I could
You deny the proof because you're not honest, but we've proven it.
do anything other than measure the Earth the way it's measured. In terms of the angle measurements that create our maps, that create the models, that create the globe, they're taken from a flat plane in the first instance. So that's their apologetics. I'm glad you've said it, because that is the excuse they'll give you. Well, Earth's just so big. That's why we measure it flat. And for the most people, they won't necessarily take on board what's actually just been said to them. Yes, we measure it flat. Yes, we survey it flat. Yes, we fly on it flat. But that's just because it's really, really big. Well, okay, we'll prove the big ball nature of it with measurements that aren't derived from flat planes.
Yes, spherical excess.
In terms of the way that you come to the inference in the first place, because those measurements are flat also, to create a model to suggest.
He's getting spherical or celestial navigation confused with surveying. They're not the same thing. They use somewhat the same principles, but they're not the same thing, Nathan.
On a ball. So one of the next questions that we come up with is any scientific evidence of gravity?
Yes, Cavendish. But of course, that's not an experiment because it was man-made, and nothing man-made can be science because that's not natural, right? You can't have any, so you can't do any experiments with engines or electric motors. You can't have any electricity because, you know, you got to generate electricity, and that's man-made. So you can't use any glass in an experiment because glass is man-made. You can't use anything made out of wood because that's made by man. So yeah, you just can't have any kind of science at all. At all. There's no science you could possibly perform that's not man-made.
Have no answers from anybody.
It would all have to be observational, and according to them, observational sciences are pseudoscience. So
there's a specific reasoning there. I'm not going to encourage it. It's fine. Timing's terrible. So any scientific evidence of gravity is a bit of a loaded question. So the idea of gravity is that it's a force that pulls things down.
I mean, I keep looking to see the 666 tattooed on the back of his head. I don't see that.
Which was out of date 109.
He probably is using like some concealer, pancake makeup to cover it.
Years ago to begin with. So the idea of gravity as force is a Newtonian idea that's been taught to everybody in this room in school.
Right. We use Newtonian gravity. We use Newtonian physics on Earth. That's where we use Newtonian physics.
Up to a high school level. And then when you get beyond high school level.
But this dumb motherfucker thinks that Newton was superseded by Einstein. That somehow we use Einsteinian relativity, Einsteinian physics on Earth. Because Anthony Riley said so.
You get into fourth dimensional space-time, which is Einsteinian gravity, which is an invented dimension by a man that just basically came up with maths to create a pseudo-dimension to throw you off the centre of a force that's not a force that you can think of as a force that's supposed to be holding you to a ball that's created in maths from flat earth measurement. So that's gravity.
No, nothing you said right there is true. Nothing. Jesus fucking Christ, what a clown.
Yeah, it's just mathematics. So there's no physics in gravity, which is why we assert any scientific evidence of gravity. But I'm going to go off on
No
a slight
physics.
tangent.
Oh, there's no physics in gravity. None.
Now, this isn't necessarily flat earth, although it is related to the subject, but it's used
God
in
damn
a
it,
broad
man.
sense. So,
All right, night, Martin. Yeah, I can't get to bed sooner than 4:30. It's just I can't sleep. It's weird.
everybody in this room will hear the word science at least 10 times a day, either in advertising or...
What? No. I rarely hear the word science unless I'm watching a YouTube video on science. But what the fuck are you talking about, man?
on a billboard or to do with something medical. You hear this word constantly, this word science. And the reality is that 99% of everything that you hear that has that label attached, along with a whole load of other buzzwords, isn't science. It's not the scientific method, precisely.
So when was the flat Earth put through the scientific method, Nathan? When was the flat Earth put through the scientific method, or the black swan? When was that done? See, you've never used it yourself, but you say that all these other sciences aren't science because they don't use it? What the fuck are you talking about?
So the scientific method is, let's start somewhere else. Let's define what pseudoscience is. So pseudoscience is a claim of science that has not been through the scientific method. That's pseudoscience.
So what the fuck are you talking about? So flat Earth is pseudoscience. I mean, according to Nathan, flat Earth is pseudoscience because it's never been put through the scientific method. You don't get past the first fucking step, man. The first step is observation. That's where you stop. You don't do any measurements. You don't do any calculations. You don't do any fucking analysis. Oh, it looks flat. Got to be flat. Case closed. Mute. That's your spiel, dude. So, out of your own fucking mouth, flat Earth is pseudoscience.
That is to say that anything that you would suggest is science that hasn't been through the scientific method is automatically, by definition, pseudoscience. So I'll give you an example. If I say that this shampoo will make your hair so shiny, here comes the science part. Sound familiar? Typical advert from the 80s, from the 90s.
So you don't think shampoos are scientifically tested? You don't think science is put into the making of shampoo? There's no chemistry involved? Jesus fucking Christ, this guy is incorrigible.
Then here comes the science part. What science? What is science? Now, although this may sound complicated initially, it isn't. You're all taught it in high school. in your first part of high school? Or middle school, late middle school, depending on which system you went through.
Yes, we were all taught it in high school, but some of us remembered it, learned from it.
So what is the scientific method? So it has 3 stages. It's quite basic. Step 1.
3 stages? What the fuck are you talking about? Scientific method only has 3 stages? Okay, what are they?
Observe something happening in nature. As you
Right, you observe that the earth is flat. That's where you stop.
say a phenomenon. Something that you see happening, lightning flash, and you go, I wonder what caused that. So it's only a phenomenon. Once it's an observed phenomenon, you actually have to see something happening. But once you do see something happening in nature, that is to say it's not made by man or caused by man.
Not like the Cavendish man-made.
Not man-made, definitely not Cavendish.
Yeah, there you go. Not man-made or created by man. Let's see, what from his words.
You see happening, lightning flash, and you go, I wonder what caused that. So it's only a phenomenon. Once it's an observed phenomenon, you actually have to see something happening. But once you do see something happening in nature, that is to say it's not made by man or caused by man.
Not made by man or caused by man. So the Cavendish experiment's not science. You can't. There's no science there, right? Nothing. There's no science you could perform except for observational. But you'd need a telescope, so you could just look out in the sky. See, Nathan wants to bring science back to the fucking Stone Age.
Cavendish man-made.
Not man-made, definitely not Cavendish. No parlour tricks. It's got to be a naturally.
Oh, it's a parlor trick. Yeah, I forgot about that one. It's a parlor trick. Yes.
Occurring phenomenon. That's what.
Yeah, it's magic. It's a parlor trick. See, back in the medieval times, when we were starting to understand science, certain people understood the connections to things around us, and they studied science and they tried to understand it, and all the other people in the village that couldn't understand it, they were too dumb to understand it, called them wizards, shaman, magic men. That they were that. See, the people who didn't understand science thought it was magic,
Natural science deals with.
and it's still fucking happening. The ignorant fucking villager thinks that science is magic.
Cause and effect based on natural phenomena. Yeah. So once you've observed something, lightning flash in this instance, you're going to suppose a causal influencer, I should say, as to say what you think will cause that effect. So you say, I think, let's think of something that doesn't cause lightning. I think long walks will cause lightning. Okay? Doesn't matter what, it's just got to be anything. It's a suppositional statement. That is to say, a hypothesis. Now that's another word that gets used quite frequently.
Only the dumbest motherfucker would come to that conclusion that long walks cause lightning. Jesus fucking Christ, man. Oh my God.
In everyday terms, when you're talking especially about medicine, they'll tell you about their hypothesis that they've got in their science with their medicine. Well, a hypothesis just establishes what you think will cause something that you observed in nature. So I think long walks will cause lightning. So that's if A, long walk.
Because you're a fucking idiot. Jesus Christ.
Then B, lightning. Yeah? Now, hypothesis also has something else which is called a null, which is the zero difference result. It's the antithesis of what you suggested. So if I say long walks will cause lightning, as my alternative hypothesis, there's also a null which says, I think long walks will not cause lightning. You're with me?
Yeah.
So in order to validate whether or not my hypothesis is true, A causes B or A doesn't cause B, you have to vary A and see if it causes B.
What a fucking God, what a fucking clown. He has no fucking clue, no concept of science.
I wasn't long enough walk. No, definitely no lightning. So I've just done what was the name of what I just did? Anybody? Experiment.
No, that wasn't an experiment. Jesus fuck. Holy crap.
Yeah, seems complicated, but it really isn't. All an experiment is you varying something that you think will cause something else to happen. Yeah? So I'll give you a different example. You go walking and you see a hot spring, bubble, 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 water boiling, You go, wow, I wonder what causes that. You think, it's quite hot, I think that might be the cause. So you go, I'm going to write down this as a hypothesis. If A, heat, then phenomena, water will boil. Then we'll have a null. If heat, water won't boil. What we're going to do is test this hypothesis.
So how are you going to test it? How are you going to test the hypothesis?
We're going to turn the kettle on and see.
You're going to turn the kettle on? What kettle? Why are you, a kettle is man-made. A kettle is man-made. That heat is created by man, generated by people. How are you going to do science on a kettle that's man-made?
If it boils, anybody know what the outcome?
Yeah, but you can't do that. There is no outcome because you can't use that apparatus. That's man-made. See how fucking silly your opinion of science is?
So that would be a...
Yeah, the stove is man-made. The heater is man-made. The heating element is man-made. The jets to put the gas underneath it are man-made. The hoses for the gas. The house he's in. The water he's using is pumped to him via a man-made apparatus. He's a fucking clown.
A validated experiment. You've seen the phenomena, water boiling. You've supposed the cause, heat.
Empirical.
And then you buried the heat to see the causes. So just to give you a fail.
Okay, so that's your hypothesis. Okay, I take a vacuum pump and I take a vacuum, a bell jar on a silicone base, and I put the bell jar on it and turn the vacuum on, and I have a little watch glass of water, and the water boils. You measure you measure the heat, and there's no heat. It actually gets cold, and it boils, and then it freezes. So it just blows out your hypothesis. So you don't test it enough.
Failure, the same process, just to cement the idea of the process. Same thing. Oh, look at that hot
Well, where's vacuum in nature?
water. Hot spring bubbling away. I wonder what causes that to happen. Looks like it's in the ground. Maybe it's the amount of soil. Could be. Why not? If A, soil content, then B.
So there was a farmer. The way the joke was originally told, it was a Polish farmer, but I'm going to say a Nathan-esque farmer, a farmer from wherever he's from. He bought a bunch of chicks and he wanted to raise chickens, so he takes the chicks and he buries them up to their necks in soil, and he comes back 2 days later and they're dead. So then he goes out and he buys 100 more chicks. And he buries them up to their head, or buries them up to their neck, upside down in the ground. He comes back a day later, they're dead. So he writes a letter to the Nathan Oakley Department of Agriculture. He says, I did this, they died. I did this, they died. And about a week later, he gets a letter back saying, please, could you send us a soil sample of the land that you planted them in for further analysis?
Water boiling. And then, no, if soil content, then water won't boil.
See, that's Nathan Oakley's science.
So you get your...
I mean, how fucking ignorant is this guy? Seriously. It's only an hour, 40 minutes long, plus it's on 1 1/4 speed, so that brings it down to about an hour and 10 minutes. But some of it's question and answering, and that's the question part is where I want to get to. I mean, we could actually fast forward it to that, because I mean, this is just making me angry.
Non-boiling water, and you add tons and tons of soil and you observe it. They go, wonderful, I proved my null. Yeah, A did not cause B. Tick, proven. The point of this being that no matter what you do, if you follow the method correctly, there is only one possibility of an outcome. Proof. In every single instance. So if you hear the word science, and it has adhered to the method, what you have as the claim at the end, if it's been through the method and had a validated experiment performed, is proof. That is why they use the word So every single person in this room will have been taught this in school. This is not new information. Every one of you learns.
Scientific method is empirical.
It's empirical, yes. It only proves things. That's its only outcome if performed correctly. We've got a question from the back of the room. Yes, hold on, let me get the mic on you.
I'll put the word scientific through a Google Latin translator. If you break it down, the sci bit means that is proved, and the typic to be fiction. So the word scientific,
Right.
broken down in Latin, that which is proven to be fiction.
That which is proven to be fiction in Latin. That's an etymological fallacy. Very good. But in modern terms, that may be true. That may be true in etymological terms. But in terms of the modern meaning of science, it is simply to prove by experiment. That's all it does. So because it proves things, regardless of whether or not you validate your null or your alternative, although I've got one more question, I'll just get to the end of the sentence and I'll come over. You prove things. Because it only can prove, that's why you hear it all the time. These Michelin tyres give the best grip, scientifically proven. Oh no, is this battery running out? It's just one. Check. So scientifically proven is a powerful statement that you can make to somebody. And then if you're going to suggest that the shiniest of hair can be achieved with timidity, it's a good idea to suggest to the audience, you've got science to prove it. And that's why it's used. So when we say, have you got any scientific evidence of gravity, we're asking them to provide those things. We're saying, can you provide a phenomenon for us to study? Or what about, or drop your microphone.
I know what you mean.
Any scientific evidence of gravity? Oh, I'll just drop something. Is that gravity?
No.
No, why not?
You took it from where it wants to go back where it come from.
All right. What about if it rains?
Clouds don't ever fall down by
Oh, sorry, it's where, isn't
Clouds don't ever
it?
fall
Clouds. Right. So in everybody's awareness, we've got gas around us, right? There's gas all around us. And the cycles of gas all start on the ground and go up. Yeah? That leads me nicely on to the next housekeeping question that we ask on Flat Earth Debate on a daily basis. Any evidence that you can have gas pressure without a container? Mean anything to anybody? Here's a diagram.
Cannot.
Okay. So, oh yeah, sorry, I had a question.
We don't have gas pressure next to a vacuum, and that heard a weird noise. But yeah, we don't have gas pressure next to a vacuum. There's no container. Prove that there is a container. See, it's your claim that there's a container, so you need to prove that. And gas pressure is not the same as atmospheric pressure. So, what the fuck are you talking about again? We have gravity that holds the atmosphere to the earth. And if you want gas pressure, you have to take gas, force it into a container that's meant to hold gas under pressure, and that's gas pressure, Nathan.
Yeah.
It's not a question, but with the science, the other important thing with experiment is that it must be repeatable and that other people can do it.
Yes.
So those are very important.
Yeah, absolutely. So you need to be able to repeat the experiment. So I'll summarise the scientific method, that's a very good point. So in the scientific method, you need a naturally observed phenomenon, you need to formulate a hypothesis, and you need to perform systematic experimentation. That is to say, me boiling water once isn't sufficient. It needs to be repeated by you, and you, and you, and you, and continuously to make absolutely certain that is the outcome. There's no failing on my part as a researcher to check that water is boiled by heat. So it'd be worthy of everybody doing that tonight. Just double check. Right, where am I? Oh yes, so we're on to gas pressure without a container. So why would I ask, is there any evidence of gas pressure without a container? Anyone have any idea why I would be asking that question?
It needs to be pressing on something.
Gas doesn't need to press on something. Gas pressure is the force the gas exerts on the walls of the container. So, in the old heliocentric paradigm, if we were to be debating about this subject, this is Earth, right? And this is high pressure gas, right? And this is a 10 to the minus 17 Torr vacuum. So, if this was real and we lived in this world where the sky was a vacuum with planets and such like, where do we all think the gas would go?
Fill the space.
It'd fill the space, exactly. So that's one of the reasons we have that as a housekeeping.
Why hasn't it? Why hasn't the gas filled the container yet, Nathan? It's been how many thousands of years? Why hasn't the gas filled the container like it should in your model?
Question because
See, that's part of Nathan's model. the gas should fill the container evenly with no change in pressure. That's evenly. So why doesn't the atmoplane adhere to the ideal gas law, Nathan? Why doesn't it do that? See, you're debunking yourself as you speak. You're saying that that's what the atmosphere should do, but it hasn't done that. It adheres to the laws of gravity, Nathan. That's why it does what it does. See, you're discounting gravity because you don't like it, because it proves you wrong. And you're saying that the atmosphere should do something other than it actually does. So you're debunking yourself. Nature, reality is debunking you as you speak.
The heliocentric nonsense world of a ball in a sky vacuum was described by the Roman.
The heliocentric nonsense world. Nathan, listen, look at my face. The heliocentric model, that's measurements. That's measurements of everything around us. The distances, the angles, the elevations, the everything to everything around us. It's a system of measurements, Nathan, what we've measured of reality. Reality can't go against the scientific method because the scientific method or the heliocentric model, because the model is compiled from measurements of reality. So, I mean, I don't know. Hold on.
You know, it's just easier to call you stupid.
Roman Catholic Church by taking elevation angle measurements to Polaris and deriving radial values to produce a cylindrical map that we can wrap around a board and lay out flat for elevation angles. They have a sky vacuum, and their sky vacuum is a defiance of a law of nature. Anybody familiar with the...
We have a sky vacuum. No, we don't. Our sky is not a vacuum. Our sky is not a vacuum. Space is a vacuum. But our sky is graded in pressure from 14.8 psi to 0. That's that. And then you have the vacuum of space. There's no fucking sky vacuum. Fucking moron.
Second law of thermodynamics. Entropy. Hot always goes to cold. High pressure always goes to low pressure.
It's a natural law.
It's a natural law.
Nathan, what do they say about gravity creating the entropy and holding down the atmosphere?
What do they say about gravity holding down the atmosphere?
Yeah, so it doesn't get...
Well, you've already answered your own question. So what they would say, they would say that we have sphere-shaped air.
It's all bullshit. Well,
the answer is sphere-shaped air. So the word atmosphere is something that all of us are familiar.
This is sad. This is like a group meeting for Idiots Anonymous.
We don't breathe atmosphere, we breathe air. Yeah? Atmo just means
air. Atmo is means steam or vapor, dipshit.
Air. That's what it actually means. Sphere? Well, it's a shape, isn't it?
Yes, because of gravity and because of the spherical shape of the Earth, our atmosphere is a sphere. That's why it's called atmosphere, because it's a sphere. I don't give a fuck if you don't like it or not. I mean, Jesus Christ. I'm going to start calling cars motorcycles because I don't like the word car. Fuck. What the fuck is this guy on, man?
Without being crude, has anybody got any sphere-shaped farts that can show me perhaps? No? I don't think so. No, you need containment for gas. So gas will always...
Yes, gravity is a containment.
...spread out to fill the available volume. Letting everybody know, I think dirty and sticky...
But it hasn't done that, Nathan. Your atmoplane hadn't done that.
It was you. So that is what gas...
Jesus fucking Christ.
That is what gas will always do. It will spread out and fill the availability of volume. I've got some nattering going on. What's going on? Something exciting? No? Nothing exciting? Okay. Right, can I have another dice?
God, what a dipshit.
4, 7, 11, 1, 5. Remember that, you.
I'm not going to remember his password. Okay, so that's gas pressure. One of the more hated questions by me is about Coriolis effect. Anybody ever heard this? It's my least favourite subject by a country mile.
And what's interesting, he's going to talk about Coriolis, how the Earth doesn't spin and all that shit. But all the gunnery manuals say that they take Coriolis and Earth curve into account when they plot a firing solution. And Nathan used to, he hadn't done it anymore, he used to post links to the gunnery manuals. He used to do that. He doesn't do that no more.
So, if some of you have been watching YouTube videos and you ever search for the subject of flat Earth, you'll probably come across a guy called Simon Dan.
Oh, wonderful man.
Oh, everybody loves Simon Dan, obviously. He's got some fans. Wonderful.
He's a really good bloke.
Lovely chap. Lovely chap. The problem with Simon Dan is he doesn't understand his own religion. So, Simon Dan sent me a tweet with a picture of a tractor
Well, that's not a religion. You fucking know it.
trailer dragging a guy on a trampoline, jumping up and down on the trampoline to show that the guy didn't drift off the trampoline as the tractor dragged him along.
Right, that's called conservation of momentum.
Well, the globe
Something you don't fucking understand because you're dumb.
Earth has a claim that Earth turns underneath things at 15 degrees an hour. The easiest example being the stars themselves.
No, it doesn't turn under things. Well, it turns under the stars, but not under us. The Earth doesn't spin under us. We spin with the Earth.
So the idea is that you have 15 degrees of rotation of the stars because the Earth is turning underneath. Now, if you start with that as the premise, everybody understands the concept quite quickly. That they're claiming Earth turns underneath the stars. It's us that's turning and not the stars. Therefore, Coriolis is satisfied in their description. It's not true, but that's how they describe it. The claim is that Earth is a separate
Not true. Not true. I don't believe it.
frame of reference
What a pussy.
underneath stuff.
I don't
So I'll
believe
give you an
anything
example
you say.
so you can visualise it for yourselves. If you're familiar with
I
the
don't
child's
wanna
roundabout
believe
or
it.
Kids' playground, if you were to
It
sit
hurts
somebody
my
directly opposite
feelings.
you holding a ball and you spin the roundabout, and as you spin it, you throw the ball. The person seeing the ball, as the ball comes towards them, they move out the ball's way. Make sense? From their perception, the ball curves.
Yeah.
It doesn't. It just looks like it does because you're turning underneath. Make sense? That's Coriolis effect. That is
Yeah, kinda. But there's a lot more to it that you ignore because it hurts your feelings.
what the globe is claimed to have. Two reference frames. Earth turning underneath as a separate reference frame. If that was true, then a flight from Charlotte, North Carolina to Los Angeles, that 4.5 hour flight, would only take an hour and a half because Earth would be turning underneath it. Yeah?
No. Planes go at ground speed. Jesus Christ. Yeah, so he thinks that once you leave the ground, you should be going 1,000 miles an hour. That's what Nathan thinks. Once the wheels come off that plane, that thing's going at 1,000 miles an hour. What a dumb motherfucker.
The consequences of their
Holy
claim
shit.
of Earth turning underneath debunk their claim when we don't see anything happening. The only effect that we can observe is the stars moving, and it is just that we see the stars moving. Claim to be Earth turning underneath, or if Earth was turning underneath, it would draw at flight times. That's claimed to be Coriolis deflection. Now, when I say it up here, it sounds really simple. The problem is that most of the opponents, when it comes to this particular subject, will deny the premise of their own claim. Like Simon did in my example that I started with. He showed somebody not drifting. Look, you wouldn't expect to have any drift. Okay, but the claim is that you've got 15 degrees an hour of it as Earth turns underneath. So showing me examples of why we wouldn't expect to see it is typically what we get from our opponents on the globe side when it comes to the claim that it's supposed to be proving Earth turns. And if it did, then we have Coriolis, flight times would be shorter. If you jumped up and down, Earth would turn underneath you. If you launched a drone, it would hover, and Earth would turn underneath it. If you're on
No, it wouldn't.
the equator, you'd launch your drone, and it would bugger off at 1,000 miles an hour as Earth turned underneath it.
See? That's what he thinks. That's what he thinks should happen. He's just so fucking uneducated.
But it doesn't. And as a consequence of them not actually seeing the effect they're claiming occurs, they'll tell you we've only got one reference frame, which is to say we don't have Coriolis effect. They'll relinquish their own claim. So, next question we ask on the housekeeping front is, any evidence that you can acquire an elevation angle measurement from a curved baseline? So, in the case of measuring the stars, if you were to actually imagine that this is your world, then there is no flat baseline to acquire your angle to any star. Make sense? So when we say,
God
is there
damn.
any evidence you can acquire an elevation angle
God, what a dumbass.
measurement from a curved baseline, we're in effect asking them, how do you measure any of these angles that we use for navigation and mapping? If the Earth is curved, you can't measure an angle.
They don't like that, do they?
They don't like
do not
that.
like that.
They don't like that.
Well, they don't like it because this is probably the crux of what I do currently. So although I'm going through housekeeping questions, most of these are aimed to people who have realised the undoing of globe arguments. Now, my current vibe is definitely not this. In fact, as much as it makes for a great presentation, depending on where you are in the argument, I don't like doing this because, as far as I'm concerned, like when I answered your question, right, it's not my burden to answer why a boat would disappear into the horizon. And that's something maybe I'd like to leave you all with. The idea that recognising when something is up to you to answer. That is to say, if somebody comes up to you in the street and says, why does that guy keep running off into that bush? You go, what guy? Well, in the bush. You know, oh, I didn't see any guy, I don't know him, it's nothing to do with me. Why would I have to explain why that guy's just run off? I haven't made a claim about it. So when somebody turns around to you and says, why does that boat disappear bottom up? You know, did I make a claim about it? Did I
Yes, you made a claim. You claim that it shouldn't because the earth is flat. There's no way that boat should, but you claim it should because the earth is flat. Now, why can't we see half of it? Yes, you are making a claim.
make a suggestion that that's something that I would want to be discussing with you. The reality is they need you to make a claim. They need you to defend a position like with an azimuthal map. They need you to be the one that's in the driver's seat so they can stack up their argument. And their argument is always the same. Their argument for a globe Earth will always start with the assumption that Earth is a sphere to begin with. If you already have the assumption in mind that Earth is a sphere, you can start working within the parameters of measuring it flat and explaining why you wouldn't need to use the sphere that you've already assumed.
Why haven't you measured it flat, Nathan? Why haven't you measured it flat?
Make sense? I'm just going to housekeeping questions. Any single viable hypothesis from any of the fields of astronomy, cosmology, or astrophysics? The reason we ask?
Yes. One in chemistry, they had the hypothesis that a benzene atom was circular, and they just looked at it and it was. In astronomy, they discovered the planet Neptune through the scientific method. So yes, absolutely.
Because that is how you've been called into this. Your Neil deGrasse Tysons, your Brian Coxes, these are the guys that are pretending to be scientists. And as I defined it earlier, if they haven't put whatever it is they're claiming through the scientific method, they haven't got science. What they're actually doing is peddling pseudoscience when they tell you about astrophysics. And what they're actually doing, having a look at some lines and then describing.
Oh, so they're doing science I don't understand and that proves me wrong, and so that's pseudoscience. Gotcha, dickhead.
They're giving them names, that's really all they're doing. Astro-naming, astronomy. Yeah, giving things names, naming lights in the sky, not performing validation of hypothesis, not...
No. Me isn't naming, you dipshit. Astro-naming. No, that's not even a fucking word. Jesus fucking Christ, my God, what an idiot.
Not presuming cause and then varying to induce the effect. They just say, that's a quasar, that's a binary star, that's Sigma 573597. Yeah, they just give things names. Well, that's not performing science, but they'll convince you by giving themselves the title of science that that's what they're doing. So based on that, we would ask for any scientific evidence whatsoever from any of those fields, the fields that are given you the globe. So we also ask for any evidence of a self-perpetuating molten iron core at the centre of a presupposed spherical Earth. This might be my roundout. Sorry, this is one of my favourites. So this.
Yes. Yeah, geology, dipshit.
This is a globe Earth story. So we're all familiar that we've got a moon, and presumably if we cast our minds back into flat Earthers here to the time that we thought we were on a ball, and we've got our moon. And the problem with their timeline, which they're in complete control of in terms of how long things have lasted, derived from celestial distances that have come from measurements of Polaris off a flat plane, all of those times and distances.
God, what a liar.
Have given us this idea of orbital motion that originally came from the Roman Catholic Church. So you've got Kepler and Copernicus that originally created this idea of a ball Earth with the sun moving around it. And the reason they gave them this idea was to give them a better idea of when Easter will be. So
no, the Catholic Church did not do that. What the fuck is he talking about? Did he actually say that the Catholic Church gave Copernicus the idea that everything's going around the sun? Did he fucking say that? Did I imagine that?
From measurements of Polaris off a flat plane, all of those times and distances. Have given us this idea of orbital motion that originally came from the Roman Catholic Church. So you've got Kepler and Copernicus that originally created this idea of a ball Earth with the sun moving around it. And the reason they gave them this idea was to give them a better idea of when Easter will be. So if any of you are
Okay, he said the exact opposite. Never mind.
Christians, you'll probably be aware of the idea that Easter isn't set on a particular time, it's based on when the stars are going to be in certain positions. Well, the whole point of having a globe model was Copernicus and Kepler's way of giving the church that predictive capability of saying, when these stars are lined up in this position, the following full moon will give you our Easter. So the church could tell the people this is when Easter's going to be. Make sense?
So Easter's taken off Passover as well, it's not in the...
Exactly, the whole heliocentric model, the whole purpose of it, when they brushed it up and changed epicycles to elliptical orbits from Kepler, it's just to give a better predictive capability for the church to say when Easter is. Now that's...
No, it's Jesus fucking Christ. What an idiot. My God, what an idiot.
Because it's probably quite deeper than that, because how they work out Easter, which I think is what I was saying, but they take it from Passover.
Yes.
That's why Jesus repeated this to uncle, it's right in the middle.
Exactly, they need to know exactly when the time will be, and that's based on the alignment of the stars. That's why we have a heliocentric model. But that's not to say that the church puts on a ball. When these mathematicians were charged with the idea, they were fully aware when using the ephemeris that they're taking flat earth angle measurements in the mathematics to create these balls. It's only 200 years beyond that, say 300 years ago, that the actual idea that we are on that model has come to...
We've known that the earth isn't flat, is a sphere for 2,500 years. More. Jesus fucking Christ.
Fruition and started being taught to us in general. But anyway, I'm deviating from my story. So the question that I ask, this is normally the final housekeeping question, is any of...
Put a big brand a big L in his fucking forehead.
...of a self-penetrating Molten core at the centre of a presupposed spherical Earth. And the story, has anybody here heard of Theia?
Yeah.
Raise your hand if you've heard of Theia.
No.
Or one person. Anybody else heard of Theia? Okay, I'm going to tell you a little story. And this story is come directly from the heliocentric nonsense playbook of Make It Up Yourself when you don't know an answer. So this is the story of Theia. And basically, the globe Earth in the Keplerian orbital motion has got a core that's giving us our heat and giving us our magnetic field. The problem is that in the timeline that they develop when they make all the stars massive and extend it out by scale, the problem is that in that timeline, the core of Earth would have cooled down. So they need something to overcome this problem of us not having a molten iron core. So they come up with this story of a planet, a scary planet called Theia, on a trajectory to collide with the fledgling Earth. Terrifying. This planet comes...
They're mocking Jesus fucking Christ. These people, there's no fucking hope for them.
...in towards Earth and misses it over and over again. But once, it collides with the fledgling Earth at a glancing blow and smashes Theia into oblivion. But luckily, depositing its juicy, delicious molten iron core right inside of Earth. Very handy. The debris is flung out and then coalesces into our moon. So that is the story of why we have a moon and why we have an oversized molten iron core. And that is true because they made it up themselves.
What a fucking retard.
Okay, search me out.
So that's the story of Theia. Let's just see, I'm late from that, so I'll get it.
And don't they say that the wind comes from that as well?
Certainly.
But they say that the wind comes from that. From that, not from the...
The wind?
Yes, that wind is like the wind systems comes from that.
I haven't heard that part of the story that Theia creates the wind. It might be. I mean, you can easily. You can have as much influence on heliocentric rhetoric as you would like to have. If you want to insert that into the story, it's perfectly plausible that you should do so. There is no reason why that can't become part of the heliocentric Bible. Well, let's just see. I think I've pretty much covered everything. See your rotation, sun distance.
Nathan?
Yes.
I don't think Mike. How do they get over the problem then that heating up iron, you lose the magnetism?
Well, they don't. I mean,
because the molten iron core isn't magnetic. It's not magnetic. It creates the magnetic field. Actually, the ducts of the molten iron, it's not a ball. It has like outcroppings that go into the earth. Jesus fucking Christ. It's...
They can just make it up in the same regard. So what the gentleman suggested is, in part of the story of heliocentric molten iron cores, the temperature that they claim the molten iron core would have to be at to sustain itself for the amount of time that they said that it's been in effect after Theia deposited its juicy delicious molten iron core inside it, is beyond something called the Curie point. Now basically the Curie point is the point where the magnetism of an ion will be lost when it goes beyond a certain temperature. So part of the question I ask is any evidence of a self-perpetuating molten ion core? And that's because the original objection, like you would have raised, is overcome by them saying, no, it creates a dynamo effect, it spins. So we now have a spinning molten
Yeah, Curie point, blah, blah, blah. Jesus fucking Christ.
ion core to overcome the problem.
What an
Then we just
ignorant
make it up.
man.
So you come along and say, well, you're saying it's bazillion degrees centigrade, you wouldn't have any magnetic field, it's beyond the Curie point. Well, it's spinning. Obviously, it's creating its own dynamo effect because it's a self-perpetuating molten ion core spinning around inside Earth. Obviously. So you just make it up, and that's pretty much the sense of the whole story of theory. I think I'm pretty much, I think I've covered every subject that I was intending to cover
They
today.
need a flat Earth to get the sphere.
Yeah, I mean, that's very, I mean, in fact, you're right, I should do a
Who the fuck is this guy yelling in the background?
story. So, can I have one more diagram to bring my steer up? So there's really two things to take away. One is that if you ever want to broach this subject with somebody, don't necessarily tune into a show like Flat Earth Debate and spend hours and hours listening to the endless discussions and intricacies that wouldn't necessarily be going through on the show that I do. But just understand how an elevation angle is measured. Because if you understand this basic aspect of how the Earth functions, you understand how we form our maps, how we form our models, how the globe itself came to fruition with elevation angle measurements from Polaris to create those lines.
I hope these people didn't fucking pay for this. I hope they didn't, like, pay any money to see this.
Two lines. If this is the only thing that you took away with you as a flat earther tonight, I'll be delighted. Which is to say that an understanding that an elevation angle, that is the line between the observer and an imaginary line between the object and the sun, in this case, and the horizontal plane that the observer is standing on, is the base form of every measurement for every map, for every model, and for the globe.
No, you're wrong. They don't put the line of measurement down to the earth. You fucking dipshit.
So if you understand how an elevation angle measurement works, you've got the elevator pitch to convince anybody, because that's how all the models work. That's the basis origin. So even the globe believers have their genesis, have their measurement, have their belief foundationally set on a flat earth to create their globe. And I think that's basically it. I think I've done. You've been a lovely audience.
That was excellent, ladies and gentlemen.
God. What a fucking clown. And they're clapping for that.
Do we have any questions? Yes, come on, let's get it all sorted.
Just so you said from the diagram, okay, you get your vertical plane, and then the mathematics of the globe was useful, but the guys that came up with that weren't trying to fool anyone. But then you said a few hundred years later, then we got convinced. But just from you, not on, it's not related to the talk, but what is your take on when did that happen and why, how, and who?
Gotcha. You asked me when did this happen and how did it happen and why?
How did the mathematics, which was pure mathematics, for the purpose of flipping, when was that?
I don't know. So I'll give you a scale of about 300 years. So you've got from Copernicus, about 500 years ago, through to Kepler, and that's about final refinement in terms of orbital motion. That's about 300 years ago. Now, up until that point, as far as I can establish from what I've read, there's no inference that they're trying to convince anybody that we're actually standing on this model. That's not the purpose. It's just we need to know when those stars are going to be there, and we don't know how to figure it out. So we've got to have some out-of-the-box thinking. So that's what they come up with. But I can't tell you from 300 years to now at what point the hidden hand went, we will teach the school children this. I don't know when that came. Go ahead.
Just saying Copernicus thing that he wanted to do the line so that he could bring Winnie's to it or any other movable piece, but they'd already worked that out for the flat earth level.
Well, yes and no. So they had problems. So even when it was a geo.
This is called the torture toaster. It tests your printer for tolerances, and I've never printed it before. It's print in place, so all these gears should move. You should be able to flip the toast up by pressing this down. It's got a mechanism inside of it, so and it's got angles, overhang angles to test that. So I'm gonna print it. It's an interesting thing.
Geocentric model. Yeah. They couldn't figure out the wandering stars, so they didn't work. That's where Copernicus originally comes up with putting it in motion around the sun to try and figure that out. But I don't see any of that as nefarious.
Right, and it only worked when you put everything around the sun, Nathan. That's the only way it actually made sense.
So when you read about how they did it, you can kind of put yourself in their shoes and go, that's really quite outside of the box thinking to go from these angle measurements to,
how long is this going to
take?
take?
Inside the globe with the angles coming through the globe to take that globe and put that in motion. You think, yeah, It takes quite a mind to do that. But I don't see any reference that says to me they're doing it so they can put you on the surface of that sphere that they're putting in motion. That never seems to be the objective.
10 hours. Jesus. Let's try that.
So it's a good question. At what point did they decide,
that's a
well,
long
let's
time.
actually make that our world? I can give you a reasonable idea of why it might have happened. So, back to when we were talking about the edge right at the beginning of this presentation. You're asked what will be beyond Antarctica.
That's 6 hours. That would be 2 a.m. No, I'm not going to start that.
That's basically the question you're being asked when you're asked why, for the whys and wherefores of an edge. Well, in reality, when we map the territory, you're all familiar with the term New World. Well, they're not called that anymore. They stopped calling it. So when you're asking when did it change, like it's almost like saying when did we transition from having the understanding that we measured angles to the stars and triangulated our position with them, took a step out, and then took a gauge of what else we could see, and then did the same, so that when we found a new world, we could find our way home again. And that's how they expanded out the territory. So they're expanding out the new worlds, and then eventually they reach a point where they lock it all down and say it's a globe. So go, okay, so everyone's under the understanding that we're navigating flat, using flat maps and flat measurements, and then we discover these new worlds with these new territories. And that's an interesting point. Before we found the new worlds, anybody guess what the area flat beyond the horizon that we hadn't discovered was called? Anybody know? Outer space. Yeah? So the offing, that was the horizon, and the area beyond it that you didn't know what was there, that was outer space.
No, we've never called the area past the horizon outer space, you fucking tool. Jesus Christ, this guy.
So at a point we're going, I wonder what's in outer space. Let's go and have a look. Well, what do you know, there's new worlds there. And they've got lots of resources and these friendly people with different coloured skin. It's wonderful. Yeah? All those resources get mined.
No. He keeps saying, yeah, yeah. Like he's asking them.
And then you reach a point where, no.
That's a bullshit order. You know, right? See, they're feeding you their bullshit, and they're subliminally basically getting you to agree with it.
No.
Enforcing it with the word yeah or right.
You just go around in a circle. There's no point in looking. Like in the Truman Show. I want to be an explorer. It's all already discovered. There's no point. It's already been done. So they don't want to find any more, in my opinion, developing worlds, formerly third worlds.
See how it prints in place the gears and basically encloses them, and there's a gap between them. So on a tuned printer, that gap should let it turn. And see, it's not connected to the rest of the thing. All the pieces are separate. There's always a gap. It's pretty cool.
Now developing countries, why would you change the name of them? Well, it's because it's too suggestive of what we actually did when we expanded out the territories. We expanded out into the new worlds that were in outer space. Where are the new worlds now? Well, it's Mars. That's where the soil is. Like, why would anybody have this crazy notion that the soil is in the sky, in the air? The soil's out there, and we discovered plenty of it in our recent history. That's another reason, just to get to the actual point of this. That's why you'll be asked, if you were to actually, as a flat earther, describe how the world was expanded, you'd be describing the expansion of the territories flat with the stars and celestial navigation. Well, that's no good, because there's no other description that can fulfill the actual truth of the expansion that we've experienced.
What the fuck is he saying? Oh my God, he's just blathering.
In the last few hundred years. So better to say, what is the bit that you don't know? What's the bit beyond the...
I mean, if he didn't have a microphone in his hand and he was standing on a street corner, they'd lock him up. They'd fucking lock him up. It's just insane. Completely insane.
Antarctic region that I'm going to say you decided
night, Lisa. Night. Glad you could stop by.
Ice wall around and has a flat equidistant around. That's
Thank
your
you.
model now, depends what's beyond it. Would we fall off it? So it's left in speculative territory. You just go, well, what about how we actually found our territory? How did we actually expand it? Well, we expanded it with flat Earth elevation angles for stars and celestial navigation with flat maps.
He keeps saying that, but he's fucking wrong.
And that's how the world was actually expanded. But if you're given the piece of nonsense subject of an ice wall to defend, that's what you'll start defending. I wonder what's in Antarctica then. I don't need to speculate. I already know how the territory was expanded. It was all done flat. That's how the world was expanded. And outer space used to be over there, and now it's over there. That's pretty much it.
I think one of the other things with the globe, Nathan, is
I mean, that's what a complete idiot would say. I don't need to know it's there, and that used to be there, and now it's. What the fuck? I mean, this guy has the. Jesus, he's stupid. Oh my God.
that it stops finding
Oh, sorry. I don't have timestamps on this. That's the thing. And Streamlabs doesn't show me timestamps.
new land. It stops
Hey, Mike, what's up?
finding new territories. It's finite. They claim that because it's finished. There's nothing else to discover. So, and Rockefeller has something to do with that in our education system. Just about the time of Einstein's relativity.
Yeah, it stops the expansion. We're not going to find any new world. I'm sure you've all heard it. If anybody's got a house or bought or sold a house, it's the one thing they're not making any more of, right? No more land.
Right, we won't find a new world here on Earth because they've already been fucking discovered, dude. The Earth has a finite shape, has a finite surface area. But space is infinite.
That means that your property.
But space destroys his argument because he says space is fake. There's no such thing as space. Nothing. There's no space. Right? So he claims there's a dome. What's outside the dome? Nothing. There's nothing outside the dome. I mean, how thick is your fucking dome, man? Space is infinite. How thick does your dome have to be for nothing to be outside of it? So we just live in a solid glass fucking block that's infinitely large?
Values going up, the land values going up because there isn't any more. Well, that wouldn't be the case if we were still expanding out the known territories. But instead, we've got a ring of ice around us. That's it. Got another question over there? Right.
Would you agree with the fact that our field of view is spherical? We're in the centre of it, and at equal distances all around us is our field of view. Just theory, something like that.
Yeah, that's absolutely correct. I'm getting the diagram.
And according to somebody who posted the link to this, a couple globers get in and start asking him questions, and he gets angry.
That's exactly correct. That view is what's created the globe. So your view is this. That's what you have. You can measure your view. So you have literally from horizon to horizon a protractor-based view. That's what perspective gives you. And wrapping that perspective-based view around a globe, functionally will always operate from within it. So whenever you're describing anything with regards to the angle measurements to stars, you're always based inside the globe. That's how it functions. They may show you originating on the tangent plane, but it won't physically function.
No, they don't show us inside the fucking Earth, idiot. What the fuck are you talking about?
With the angle measurements to the stars, they have to move it. And the way they justify it is they say all light comes in parallel and is very, very, very far away. Therefore, because it's parallel, this line meeting my point on the surface is the same as this line going to the center of hell.
Yeah, that's just fucking geometry. That's just plain geometry. That's what they're demonstrating there, but it doesn't put us in the center of the earth, you fucking dumbass.
Which is the only place that the angle measurements for celestial navigation work, in hell. This diagram only exists because this represents the plane surface that you measure the angle from with your...
No, it doesn't, you fucking asshole. He thinks that represents flat earth. That's what he thinks. That represents flat earth.
That's your question. Perspective view wrapped around you. That's all the globe is. A glorified protractor representing your view. To project the points on the ground through a globe to the celestial sphere that represents your view. Half of which is just what I've described from horizon to horizon. Your view with perspective.
Projecting? What the fuck are you talking about? We see things, light comes into our eyes. Our eyes don't project vision out, dumbass.
Yeah. And the other is, you go
I mean,
to
this guy is an idiot. This guy is a complete fucking idiot. Hey, Karen B. I mean, holy shit, man.
And look at a different point, Sigma Octantis. And that creates the bottom half of the celestial sphere. So the idea of being antipodal with an edge, or...
So, there's people standing upside down underneath this flat earth? Is that what you're saying? That people are upside down? So if I drill to how thick is your flat earth? Can I drill down through the flat earth and see them? What the fuck are you talking about?
Being on a globe is a direct translation of 2 points with a center and an outside edge, one being Polaris, one being Sigma Octantis. sandwiched underneath each other. So two flat planes, antipodal from one another. That's why you get an edge. But back to answering your question.
Right. So that's what he thinks. He thinks there's people standing upside down, like in the apartment below me on the ceiling. That's what he's just described.
The globe is a glorified version of a protracted view from Polaris. That's all it is. Anything else? Any more questions? One more, go ahead.
He's a complete fucking metal case.
So, using reason, do you actually successfully help people who, in your debates, do you get results? As in, do you do it to convince others, or do you do it for fun, or do you, like, as in, I'm finding you can talk what you want, people will not accept what you say.
Yeah, I agree. Now, there's certain people that are fundamentalist religious zealots that will not accept anything.
Most people, my question is, what's in your experience, like, how many?
Yeah, some people are fundamental religious zealots that won't accept anything. Yeah. Project much, motherfucker?
People actually, having thought about it, come to
my God.
Good question. If you'd asked me this a month ago, I'd have given you a really small number. Because the debate that I run, Flat Earth Debate on YouTube, is specialist. Therefore, the people that come and challenge me specifically, and the people on my panel, are the elite of globe understanding. That is to say, they're very much staunch in their understanding and are seeking confirmation bias to try and affirm their own religion. So when I described earlier being between a rock and a hard place, you either deny the measurements to Polaris that give the globe their origin, alternatively, accept that you're measuring Earth flat to get those angles. That's the kind of position that my opponents on Flat Earth Debate would end up in. However, in the last month, quite recently in fact, I've started using a piece of software called OME, which is a bit like the kids use for dating, which is swipe left for the next person, but with random strangers. So what I've done is started just chatting to random individuals on the internet and saying, are you aware that you have a religion that's come from the Roman Catholic Church? And they go, what? What religion? You know, were you taught in science class that the sun and Earth are in an orbital motion? They go, yes, I is. You know, what's your religion? Now you know that you've got a religion. Now in that particular instance, the conversion rate is 9 out of 10.
Now, see, the Catholic Church was against the heliocentric model for centuries, for years, maybe not centuries, but for years and years they were against it. So that's not an invention of the Catholic Church. The Catholic Church had to concede that we orbit the sun after it was definitely proved by scientists, by astronomers. So the heliocentric model is not a religion created by the Catholic Church, you fucking liar.
Yeah, you've got so my most recent videos on my channel, Nathan Mercury 980, are these videos of OME. It's called, like I say, just random.
God, what a fucking horrible person.
Random strangers to chat to. And they're almost all receptive. That is to say that the demeanour of your average Joe Normie who has heard this subject, and they just get hooked on by me, they'll go, well, that's fascinating, thank you so much for telling me. On my debate show, it's drink bleach, don't have children. You know, it's a much more vitriolic approach from our opponents. They hate us and despise us. Yeah. So it's a very different approach. If you approach someone on a bus stop and says, were you aware that you were brought up in school with a religious belief, that you just weren't taught was a religion, then most people would be intrigued, as I'm finding out now. They go, really? What religion? I'm not religious. You go, yeah, you're a heliocentrist. You just weren't taught it in religious education, you were taught it in science. Yeah? Not cause and effect based, not based on natural science, not based on hypothesis, not based on anything science. But when you tell them, that's normies, as I would call them, they're very, very receptive. But unlike your average show on my plate, there's no converting people from zealotry. If you're a zealot, you're looking for anything to confirm your bias, and when you come up against a position where you either have to accept it as measured flat or deny the base premise of your own religion, most of the time that leaves them in despair. They don't know what to do. They won't concede. They won't say, you're right, it's measured flat. They'll go, the ground isn't really flat, it's imaginary. That's the kind of response. I'm not joking, that is actually a response I have. So, conversion from flat earth debate.
No, nobody says the earth is imaginary. Jesus fucking Christ.
Very low.
We say the flat earth is imaginary. We've proven it. But no one says the earth is imaginary. Except you guys. You say the horizon isn't physical. So if the horizon isn't physical, it can't be optical. And it just means the entire earth is not real because that's what the horizon is, part of the earth.
But that's not what I'm trying to achieve when I'm talking to somebody on that particular show. My objective would be like, my only consideration is what is the audience taking away from this? Not will I convert this one individual that's debating me, because they'll go around in circles for 3 hours. But the audience, as a benefit of hearing the same argument, comes to the same conclusion and they get rinsed and repeated. But that shiny scientifically on the hair. That process educates the audience hearing the thing repeated again and again how the argument fails. So it's useful for the audience, it's not useful for the person debating. Anybody else have questions? One in the back.
Mike, what would be the best like streaming software to use for like a panel show? I've seen like Restream And I think I've got Streamlabs. I think I've used Streamlabs. Which would be the better of the two?
Oh. So when you're talking about the Earth being measured flat, what I don't understand is so when you're measuring an angle to a star, that sounds more like an angle measurement, not a flat Earth measurement. What I also understand why having a flat baseline for an angle measurement means that the Earth has to be flat, sounds like you're confusing a flat baseline with a flat Earth.
Well, it's a flat Earth. So part of the definition of elevation angle measurement is an imaginary line between the observer and the sun, and the horizontal plane the observer is standing on. That's the definition of an elevation angle. It's a prerequisite for the measurement.
Well, like I said, you can measure an elevation angle with like a protractor on a string. You don't need to involve the Earth surface at all. So why does it mean the Earth is flat?
So you're suggesting that when you're doing celestial navigation, you don't need to measure for the GP below the star?
You don't need to use the only reason you use the ocean is to get the dip angle. If you use a bubble sextant, you don't have to use the horizon at all. So it's already given you your level at your eye line.
Well, just when you're measuring an angle.
Yeah, for the GP.
Yeah, well, when you're measuring the angle, the GP of the satellite pulse.
Yeah, but that's what you're trying to achieve.
No, that's not true.
So you're saying you don't use the GP in celestial navigation?
You use the GP for celestial navigation.
Right, so you need the GP to be on the end of a flat baseline?
No, you use the angle and the time and the azimuth of the star you're taking a reading from. You put that into the into the nautical almanac. That gives you a sight reduction. That gives you your GP. You are getting your GP by measuring the altitude angle of the star. A calculation after that gives you the GP. On a flat Earth, to get the GP, you would have to know the altitude of the star. Because if it's a different altitude, then it's further away. Right? If a star is it could be at this altitude. If it's at a higher altitude, that means it has to be further away to reach that angle.
We took it down to model.
It only works.
We took it down to model.
So when you talk about an elevation angle,
Yeah, just to make
you've got a flat baseline, that's horizontal.
That flat baseline could be down to model.
It could be, but it could also be on the surface as well.
Yeah, because you have a horizontal base to get the angle.
So someone who actually knows how to use a sextant.
So the angle itself is formed.
Yes, why not?
Okay, so this is
Is that my calculation or not?
So again?
Is that my calculation?
Yeah, that's fine. So this is an elevation angle measurement. So this is you, this is the star, and this is the point that you're trying to achieve. This is called ground position, which is on the ground. You're nodding your head like no.
No. Well, you're not trying to achieve that point on the ground. Doesn't make any sense.
So how do we do celestial navigation then?
Well, you have the GP.
So we do have this point on the ground. So do you want to take the mic off that guy?
We have
Do you want to take the mic off that guy?
No,
Do you want to take the mic off that guy for
We
me?
have the mic. It's not on the mic. It's just shouting. Well, you're measuring the
Wait, what? Let me go back for a second. I'm going to put this to regular speed now.
And this is the point. So this is you. This is the star. And this is the point that you're trying to achieve. This is called the ground position, which is on the ground. You're nodding your head like no.
No. Well, you're not trying to achieve that point on the ground. That doesn't make any sense.
So how do we do celestial navigation then?
Well, you have the GP. And
So we do have this point on the ground. So do you want to take the mic off that guy?
We have
Do you want to just take the mic
So you want to take the mic off that guy. He's wanting to Fundy mute him. He says take the mic off him. Take the mic away.
off that guy?
So he knows what he's talking about. So Nathan doesn't want him to have a mic. He's trying to mute the guy in real life.
Do you want to take the mic off that guy for
We
me?
have on the mic. It's not on the mic. It's just shouting.
Well, you're measuring the elevation.
So we do use the GP.
You use the GP.
So do you want to just put the mic down? Because we do use this position. You say we don't use. I don't need you chanting through me. We do use this point.
You're interrupting me.
Yeah, I'm the host.
Yes, you're interrupting him. Right, and you're asking for questions, and you're interrupting him.
Well, you're wrong.
Okay, we heard that. But then we've got your concession that we're using the GP.
Yeah, but why? Where's the flat in this?
At the end of the GP.
Right, but how do you know it's flat?
Because it's got a right angle at the end of it.
Okay, well that just means it's below, the GP is below the star.
Yeah, so the ground position's below the star. You got that?
Yeah.
It's on the ground. And is us measuring it on the ground?
No, you're not measuring the GP.
I'm not, am I not?
No.
You're measuring an elevation.
Yeah, we're measuring this line, this flat.
No.
So we're not measuring this flat line.
No.
So this
No.
angle's being formed with a curve, is it?
You're not measuring it.
We're measuring an elevation angle. That's what this is. I'll just
God, he's so thick, man. He's so fucking thick.
define it again.
That's not
Just while
measuring.
this guy chants through me as I define again what we're measuring.
But
An imaginary line between the observer and the sun, and the horizontal plane the observer is standing on. That's what
No.
we're measuring.
No.
you're not measuring the horizontal plane. You're
That's
measuring-
part of the definition.
No, you're measuring between the angle that the sun is at and a imaginary horizontal line from your eye line. That's why we need the dip angle, because we sight in on the horizon. We put your height above the surface of the earth into the formula that gives us our dip angle to subtract from the horizon up. God, such a fucking idiot.
You can't measure without.
You need a flat
That's
baseline.
right. I'll just read out a few of the definitions.
No, you don't.
Can I read out a few of the definitions, or is this guy taking over?
Nathan's so pissed off.
Can I just grab the mic off him so I can give a few definitions? So I'll just define a few. Altitude angle, sometimes referred to as solar elevation angle. Why has he still got the mic?
Because you might want to talk in a minute.
Okay, I've heard him. He says no, it's not a GP. He says no, it's not on the ground.
He wants a little bit more understanding.
Okay, go ahead and ask your next question.
Well, I see you're saying like an elevation angle is a flat
Look at the body language, man. He is pissed.
measurement.
I've already covered this 3 times. Is the audience
The mental patient is pissed.
keen for me to cover this a 4th time? Okay, I'll define it again. No worries, I'll define it again. Do you want me to grab the mic while I define it? The altitude angle, sometimes referred to as solar elevation angle, describes how high the sun appears in the sky. The angle
Right, above the horizon, above your horizontal, above here.
is measured between the imaginary line between the observer and the sun and the horizontal plane the observer is standing on. Sustainable, but it's just me, or is this guy talking still?
It's a horizontal plane, not horizontal plane.
Sorry, horizontal plane the observer is standing on, and we're trying to achieve.
Why isn't that up on the screen? Why isn't that up on the screen? I have a feeling that he's adding horizontal plane that the observer is standing on into that.
Ground positions.
No,
Are you
don't
done?
need the ground position.
We don't need the ground position. We're navigating to find our position on the ground.
No.
No, you're finding out what your ground position is. You're just finding out with each one of these how far away you are from the zenith, from the ground position. God damn
Yes.
it,
The
man.
ground position is the ground position
Yes,
of the
ground
star.
position's on the ground.
Of the star, not you.
It's on the ground.
Yes. That doesn't mean it's flat.
Okay, so this line can be curved.
Yes, it is curved. It is.
Can it?
I guess.
No, it can't. It won't be an angle. Do you know? Not how? Can you define an angle for me?
Yeah, he doesn't think he can have an angle from a curve.
So it's straight lines then, not curved.
No, you can have an angle from a curve. You can have an angle from between a curve and a curve.
So it can't be curved
But
then.
a line is not.
It's a curved line, is it?
Well, a line is not the earth.
It's the ground position on the Earth. It's the horizontal plane the observer is standing on. We're finding ground positions to navigate the Earth.
Yeah.
But it's not the Earth. Do you remember when I said they denied that it was the Earth? Here we are with a gentleman denying.
And now he's got that laugh, that lilting tone of voice that he has when he gets pissed off. Masks his anger.
That ground positions.
When he starts talking like this. That's to mask his anger. That's a control. That's a reflex mechanism.
And horizontal planes of reference the observer is standing on. Do you want to say again? That's not the Earth, correct?
No,
It's not the Earth.
It's an imagine.
No, we are not. We don't live on a flat Earth, dipshit. The horizontal plane they're talking about is the horizontal plane of your vision from your eye out.
Line,
No, it's not. It's the horizontal plane the observer is standing on, and we're measuring for...
So who wrote that? QE? I have a feeling that's something QE wrote.
ground positions.
You have measured for a ground.
Yeah, we are. That's exactly what we're measuring for.
You measure the angle.
Yeah, so we can find the ground position below the star.
No.
Yes, that's what celestial navigation is.
That doesn't make any sense.
See, Nathan has no fucking clue as to what celestial navigation is, except what 11th man told him. And 11th man denies all the illustrations and photographs in the books.
Okay.
He denies anything in the not in the sextant manuals. He denies everything that has to do with the spherical Earth, but all the rest of it's true.
Abundant is to hear you say no. Tell me how you measure the angle. Is it two straight lines or one curved line along the ground?
Yeah, two straight lines.
So it's straight, so it's not curved.
It's a straight line pointing to a star.
Where do you think you get your horizontal
This
line
angle.
from?
It's your elevation angle.
We understand, it's just easy to convince.
Necessitates a flat earth at all.
Where do you get your horizontal line from? Well, what's horizontal mean? What's horizontal?
From dip angle. From dip angle.
The horizontal can be measured at the boss level or square level.
Do you know you can't have an horizon on the square? Is that
Okay, just to find a couple more. So the last one was from Sustainable by Design. This one's going to be from
The line that you're measuring.
Radar Tutorial. This one's from Radar Tutorial. Elevation angle is between the horizontal plane and the line of sight in the vertical plane. Horizontal plane's required. You don't have one on a globe.
Yeah, but not horizontal Earth.
Yeah, that's what we're doing. We're doing navigation on the Earth.
You can build it in horizontal plane with Earth.
Yeah, because we're navigating the Earth.
Yeah, you're not getting the Earth, but the plane is
Okay.
imaginary.
Yeah, we get to see a demonstration of rock on a hard place.
Yeah.
Are you familiar with latitude?
That's not a rock and a hard place, you fucking moron. Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
How's latitude measured?
Well, on the globe, it's the angles around the.
You don't have angles on a globe. You can't get angles from curves.
Can't get an angle, can you?
Can't get an angle from a curve.
Jesus
angle
fucking
from like the
Christ.
north 40% of the Earth, and then the angle
From a flat Earth.
to the horizon.
From a flat Earth.
To the equator.
So the horizon that you're forming the straight
Jesus, listen to him. He sounds like a fucking toddler.
line with this, it's not Earth curve then. It's not falling away and curving.
He sounds like a toddler who was allowed to drop out of kindergarten.
Do you know you can't have a horizon
What it is on the globe.
On a globe, you haven't got an angle. I've just said that. You're ignoring me and rinsing and repeating the same thing you just said. So I've heard you the first time. You're saying you get an angle from a globe, and I'm saying there's no straight lines on the globe to get an angle from. You can't get an angle from a globe.
You asked what latitude lines were.
Yeah? How are they measured?
Well, you can calculate it by measuring an
How
angle.
do we measure them then? We measure them with Polaris,
Yeah, you can do that.
off a flat Earth.
No, you can't. If you measure it off a flat Earth, it's not a linear relationship between the latitude and the angles. Flat Earth is physically impossible. Absolutely physically impossible.
You can deny it all you like. It's a horizontal plane of
Yes, the torture toaster is up next. I'm going to print that tomorrow. Start it in the morning. It's going to take 6 hours.
reference between you and the GP of that star for latitude. So you denied that
Actually, it's going to take, I'm going to do extra high.
we measure latitude that way. So you don't accept latitude on the globe then?
I do accept latitude on the globe.
But how do you measure
From
them?
my understanding, it can only work on a globe because.
How do you measure them?
Every degree.
Hold on, I don't want to know how they work, I want to know how you measure them. How do you measure them? I don't want to know how you work them on the globe. How do you measure them in the first place?
Take 10 hours. Hey, what the hell? Yeah, 10 hours, 51 minutes. So,
Where they measure from?
Yeah, how do you measure them?
Where will they measure from?
Talk to him, mate.
How do you measure latitude?
Well, you can measure it, you can calculate it by measuring
No, it's saying calculated. I'll try it once more. How do you measure it? How do you get a measurement for latitude?
Yeah, you can measure an angle to Polaris.
So it's a flat earth line on the ground. I'll try that again before he interrupts and tells me no. So it's an angle.
It's an angle.
So it's straight lines, not curved ones.
Straight lines. Yes.
Yeah, so from the equator to the minimum elevation to Polaris, that's a straight line along the ground.
No.
So it's curved.
No.
We could do this all day, I guess. We could do this 15 more times.
No.
So it's not an angle then. It's not ground.
It's an angle.
It is. So it needs flat earth then.
No.
Why not?
Because the line is imaginary.
Boom! So imaginary navigating, are we?
Well, the lines are imaginary.
Sorry, so this line here to the ground. So this line here to the ground position. So just for clarity for the audience's benefit. So the line to the ground position that we're measuring, it's a measurement. No, I haven't even finished my sentence yet. It's telling me no. This is from a celestial navigation manual. So what? So how do we measure Polaris for latitude? Along the ground, straight line, angle. That's it, done.
Straight line, not flat.
So it's a bent line.
It's a line.
It's a straight line along the ground.
No. Now you're begging the question.
So I'm not begging the question, but I've defined it. Do you want 25 more definitions? It's alright, I got 25 of them. Do you want 25 more?
You're begging the question.
When I define how an angle is measured, I'm not begging the question. The angle of elevation is a widely used concept related to the height and distance, especially in trigonometry. It is defined as an angle between the horizontal plane and the oblique line from the observer's eye to some object.
Saying horizontal plane over and over again is not going to make the end.
That's what we're measuring.
No, you're not.
It measures from the horizontal plane of reference, which is the Earth that you're on.
No, the horizontal plane of reference is at your eye line. Fuck, it's not the Earth.
Yeah, the horizontal plane. How do you do it? Where do you think water bends?
Yeah, it does.
Come on.
So, are we done?
Jesus Christ. But I love that. Take his mic away. Take his mic away. He wasn't ready for that, was he? That's why he gets smashed in every single debate he gets into.
And that was it. It's just question and answer. Unless someone else has got
I mean, he can't understand a simple thing like the horizontal plane is from your eye line. See, you're looking through a telescope. You're looking through an instrument, and that's where you're taking the measurement from.
Anyone else got any questions?
I mean, someone tries to correct him, and it's, nuh-uh, I know more than you do.
Anybody else got any questions?
God, what an idiot.
You're confusing the horizontal plane with
You can't have an horizon on a ball.
Okay, fella. Well, I'm going to round out so you can have your chat.
Yeah, it's going to take 15 or 10 hours.
Right, thank you very much for having me.
Ladies and gentlemen, let's give it up to Nathan Oakley. Thank you, Nathan. Just a couple of things. Next month we have Internet with Austin Winsett. Some of you know him. And in October we've managed to get Santos Bonacci to do our video. But for now, ladies and gentlemen, the wonderful, the enigmatic, and the right.
Wonderful. Nathan is anything but wonderful.
Nathan Oakley.
Oh my God. I'm done. It's just a cult. It's a stinking fucking cult is what it is. I mean, they don't have a clue. They don't understand science, but they think they know more than everyone else who does. Yeah, they clapped. Jesus Christ, man. It's sad. It's fucking sad what society has come to. So anyway, thanks for watching, guys. Thanks for stopping by. We'll talk to you later. And as always, be seeing you. I'll be back tomorrow and we'll print the toaster and see what the results are. So I tried printing it once, but it came loose of the print bed. So I didn't have my settings dialed in like they are now, but I do now. So hopefully it'll come out.